That's how I was.
Did you know?
Super good.
What made you want to start doing this?
Okay, right, I'll find her. You know
On what day was your Christmas?
I saw the cars out there.
Did you?
She'll probably make the runs anyway. I just want sure. Right. I guess that's pretty good.
Yes.
Did this thing just happen? Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So busy. You ready to? Okay, yeah, we'll just be that's a whole other thing that I've been working on that issue for 5 or 6 years. And I thought some of them taken down. Well, there's different avenues, but sometimes it ends up at the county's level. Well, the county's level, sometimes so there's different levels. That's another story in itself.
You got some good stuff.
You want me to, do we need the microphone?
No. I can hear you, sir.
Okay. What do you want me to say?
So we'll just go on. This is Sylvia Griffith, and she is an advocate
I always just call myself a community
community advocate.
I'm also the Boyd County Justice.
So, are you ready?
Just
Anytime?
go ahead and speak anytime you want. I can cut all this.
Wait, do I have to look at that or go look at her?
You can look at it.
Okay.
If you want to say something to the county, you can say it.
Okay.
Hello, Suzanne.
Hello.
How are you?
Just fine.
We're friends from a little ways back anyway, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay, and we would like me and Michael would like to ask you a few questions about this meeting that we're at right now.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, this is a public service meeting. What the Public Service Commission is, they make a judgment on rates. They're kind of like the judges. So, Kentucky Power will make their part, interveners will make will say their part, and then the community, just like us, and the public, they have a say too. So right now we're at the public say in the process.
Now, are they going to really listen to us though when we ask these
Yes.
questions? Will it make a difference?
It will make a difference. We're really not allowed to ask questions except at the very beginning, but we are allowed to say our piece, what we need to say to them. I have found the Public Service Commission to be very to and then they take notes because it's kind of like an evidence that they're hearing. So they're not asking questions; they're just listening.
Has there been other meetings like this in the area?
Yes,
Or in the state of Kentucky?
yes. There was one in Pikeville, and I went to that, and there was one in Hazard, and I went to that.
And it went well there?
Yes, it went really well, and the people spoke in unison that they do not want this rate to work at all. So,
That's what we're here to cover it and talk to look forward to us seeing her.
okay.
She's gonna be on our show, Power Independent.
Yes, I sure will, and I'm so looking forward to that.
We're excited about it. Yes, so we're gonna sit here and listen to what's going on.
All right.
They know y'all are on the air, they are just talking.
I'm gonna try to do. Okay.
So I'm gonna sit down.
Well.
Oh, that's okay. That's
Here we are. And I should be more, but, you know. And I've got people come watch now. You're all very. Because the HVAC system is so freaking you would shock to see your breath. You would be in there sometimes, actually closing sometimes, and closing the winter some because I can't tell if this is $1,000. And then it's $1,500. But I did
It's very helpful.
I believe that's.
That's nice.
Have you had a chance to sign I don't have it.
Are you live streaming? Yeah, well, I think they oh, well, you're all right. No, but I will. turn around.
Yeah.
You can stand there. So based on this, what we can expect from them is in the future, I'll try to get
That's why I'm giving a fact sheet to everybody.
We are basically things are. And so still we have to we haven't found like that's had at least 10 to 15 of us that stuff out. It's nice to have structure and system.
Which doesn't cross. I tried my best to write my notes on that. I'll take that first, but I'm back there. I think that's the latest it works, you
Jennifer, that's not a good idea.
which honestly,
How's it going?
I'm sorry, that didn't hurt at all. I don't know why I said ow. I'm sorry. It did not hurt.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, we were trying to let the last few people that were signing in get seated, but I think everybody, we're pretty close here, so I know everyone is anxious to, for those of you who'd like to speak. So my name is Linda Bridwell. I'm the Executive Director of the Public Service Commission, so thank you for coming out tonight. I just wanted to welcome you here tonight, and what I'm going to do is give a very, very short presentation at a high level about what the Public Service Commission process is, and then we'll go into the public comment period. So just to give you an idea of the meeting agenda, so as I mentioned, I will give a very high level presentation about what Kentucky Power has asked for as part of their application. So this is, when I say details, again, it will be very high level. There will be an opportunity then for you to ask questions of the staff about the process. And then we will go into the public comment period. So this is a little different. I want to make sure that everybody in the room understands that we are not here to make a presentation on behalf of the utility. The utility is not making a presentation tonight. So in this role, we are here to listen to the comments of the community. So, and whether it's about the application itself or their service with Kentucky Power. So that's the point tonight. It's not for us to have a question and answer period about why they're doing this or what they're doing or details of the case. So I want to give you, and I'll explain a little bit why, because when we usually come out and make these presentations, people try to say, well, why can't you tell us more about this? So just to give you an idea of the Public Service Commission. So we were created by statute in 1934. It is a 3-member administrative body that's appointed by the governor with quasi-judicial duties. And the commissioners are here tonight. They will answer your question. They're here to listen to comments. But I want to emphasize the quasi-judicial duties. So we regulate more than 1,100 utilities in the state of Kentucky. And we are funded by an assessment that comes from the utilities. So we don't come out of the general fund. We bill the utilities, they pay an assessment, and then that's what funds the agency. Our mission by statute is to ensure that every utility shall furnish adequate, efficient, and reasonable service at a fair, just, and reasonable rate. So again, when we start talking about the point of us being here tonight and why we can't answer questions, the three commissioners essentially serve as the judge in this case. So the applicant is Kentucky Power, and then the consumer advocate, and the folks that are the other side of this that may be arguing that and the judge, the commissioners are looking to balance what is fair, just, and reasonable rates. So why do we go through this process? Well, rate making in the state of Kentucky, utilities are not competitive. There's a reason for it. It costs a lot of money to build the utilities out. They are monopolies. Their rates or services are then regulated by the Public Service Commission. This is pretty much most states in the United States operate this way. The utility rates and service are regulated to protect against the risk of poor service and excess profits. That's the role of the Public Service Commission in this. Changing utility rates is a legal process. So again, this kind of comes down to, it's a little more formal as a regulatory body than other regulatory bodies. It's governed by the statutes. The commissioners only have the authority that is given to them by the legislature. The process includes the utilities file an application. They include written testimony about why they believe they need to change their rates. They discuss the details of this. Other parties may intervene in it. They must be represented by an attorney. So again, sometimes we will get individual members of the community that want to intervene. Again, it's a legal process, just like in most instances, you don't go to court unless you're represented by an attorney. You must be represented by an attorney in front of the Public Service Commission. We will have discovery process. That's what we're in the middle of right now. Then there will be an evidentiary hearing where the commissioners, the parties to the case, can cross-examine the witnesses on the stand, just like you might see on television. You know, they're sworn in, they're under oath, they answer the questions. Then there will be issued a final order in the matter, and the public comments can be filed at any time during the case. So a couple things that I want to talk about. The final order is by statute has to be within 10 months of the time they file their application. So once they file that application, any utility, the commission is on the clock. They have to keep things moving because by statute, the legislature has said you must make a decision within 10 months or the utility gets the rates that they have asked for. So how much? So again, this is part of what is by statute required. The utility must be able to provide adequate service, maintain its financial integrity, and attract investors, particularly at favorable loan terms. So again, that's what the commission and the commission staff is looking at, is what's the balance of fair, just, and reasonable to maintain that financial integrity. A lot of times we get the question, why can't you just lower the rates? Why do they have to get anything? This is part of the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that rates that are not fair, just, and reasonable, that do not allow the utility to earn a rate of return, a fair rate of return, is considered a taking of their asset. So again, we're trying to safeguard the community and balance those that are responsible for providing service with the cost of the providing service. So let's talk a little bit about Kentucky Power and this application. Kentucky Power generates and purchases electricity. They distribute and sell electricity in all or portions of 20 counties in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They have 162,000 customers in the Commonwealth, and they are a wholly owned subsidiary of American Electric Power. The last increase in base rates was in January of 2024. What they've proposed is an increase in electric rates that will result in a $95 million increase in additional revenues, or 14.62% overall. The proposed average monthly residential electric bill will increase $27, or 14.9% for customers using 1,208 kilowatt hours per month. Now, one of the things that we talk about is that this is the base rates. This isn't all the riders that are also included in the bill. But according to the application, The request for the increase is primarily driven by allowing the company to operate successfully, maintain financial integrity, attract capital, recover fuel costs, and support investments from the Mitchell plant. So this is, and again, this is what is in the application. What I want to emphasize is that if you are interested in reading more about this or learning more about this, the entire record of the case is online. It's available for anybody to go in and look at everything that has been filed by Kentucky Power and all the opposing parties. Again, what Kentucky Power has asked for is to remove storm expense from base rates. So this would be maintenance expense after storms, to remove all of that from base rates and have a rider for those storm expenses. Create a new generation rider to help cover the Mitchell plant capital balances. Create voluntary prepayment system associated with AMI called FlexPay. A declining energy block for residential customers, and a 2-tiered customer charge. So to separate out the high energy users would have a declining block and a little bit higher energy charge. So the case number 2025-2057. So I want to make sure that those of you that are in the audience that haven't been to one of our other previous public comment meetings know that number, because if you're interested in making public comments after tonight with us, you will need to have that case number referenced. So who are the intervening parties? We know that Kentucky Power has filed the application. Who are the intervening parties? First and foremost, the Attorney General's office. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that when you talk about the consumer advocate, who is your advocate in Frankfort for this case? That is the Attorney General. Again, that's by statute. They have a staff. They are intervening in all of our cases, or they're allowed to intervene in all of our cases. So they represent the consumers. The Kentucky Industrial Utility Council has also intervened in this case. The Kentucky Solar Industries Association, SWBA, which also is an energy affordability group. And then there's a group of joint interveners, Kentuckians for the Commonwealth, Kentucky Solar Energy Society, Mountain Association, and the Appalachian Law Center. So that last group of joint interveners is also tends to represent the interests, help represent the interests of Appalachian residential customers. So what are the next steps? As I discussed, as I mentioned, we've had 2 public meetings already. We had one in Hazard and one in Pikeville on November 20th and December 18th, and the one here tonight in Ashland. The hearing in Frankfort will begin on Tuesday, January 13th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and will continue for several days. Public comments are accepted in addition to tonight and the 3 public comment, the other 2. You can also, there's public comments available if you want to come to Frankfort and stand up at 9 o'clock in the morning on the first day of the hearing. You can make public comments then. The hearing is open to the public. You can come for as much or as little as you would like to, sit in the audience, listen to the testimony and the hearing online. The final order is required by statute to be entered no later than June 29th of 2026. Now I want to talk a little bit more about the public comments. As I've mentioned, you can make public comments at any time. If you came out tonight expecting to hear a lot of details about the case, you said, well, you know, why did I come tonight? But you aren't going to give us details. So what I want you to do is you can go online, read through the case, read a little more information about it, and submit electronic public comments. You can do it at the public hearing. There are lots of other opportunities. Or if you leave tonight and say, oh, well, I really meant to add this on. Or you go home and you talk to your neighbor and they said, well, I wasn't able to come tonight. Public comments are accepted at any time during the case. They're all part of the case record. So again, I'll put up here, I'm going to flip over this just a second and then we'll come back so that we have the case number. When you make public comments, there are 3 different ways to make public comments in addition to tonight. You can, if you go to our website and you go, there's a tab at the top and it says contact us. There's a heading that will say to submit, comment, or ask about a case. And when you click on that, it has a form that you fill out. You submit your name, the case number, and then what your comment is. So again, 25-00257. That's just to make sure that it goes in the case record. You may also send your public comments if you are not comfortable with websites, but you're okay with doing an email. You can send your public comments to psc.comment@kentucky.gov. We have a staff member who monitors that, and they will pull that down. They'll print it out and literally scan that in so that public comment is in the record. You may also, if you prefer old-fashioned, just write it out. Here's our mailing address, 211 Sauer Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky, 40601. So I want to back up just a second. When we go into the public comment period, I'll leave this information up. So at any time, like I said, you can make as many public comments as you would like in the record. Tonight, you will have an opportunity to speak once, and there will be a little bit of a time limit just to have to respect that everybody gets a chance to say their comments tonight. But I wanted to make sure that people understand this is an opportunity for the commissioners to hear your comments and to come to the community for those of you who may not want to come to Frankfort. So with that, do I have any questions about the process in the case? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have questions about process, but I would like to know what Kentucky Power and American Electric Power representatives are here tonight.
They are required to be here, but it's their choice if they want to identify themselves tonight. So, that's not to say I don't want to speak for Kentucky Power. So I'm speaking for the commission. Yes, sir.
Yes, this is my name is Mike Schuler. I'm actually counsel for the company, and I'm joined by a number of company. Thank you, everyone.
So for those of you who would like to know, so thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. We've had 2 of these already. I certainly don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable that they are here tonight if you want to speak to them. Do I have any other questions about the process? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
What's in the building that was the old post office with this Kentucky Power? What do they do there?
That's not a question that I can answer. This is just about the process of the case, and I don't know. Okay, so if you have an opportunity after the meeting adjourns, if you would like to ask the Kentucky Power folks, I do want to say I also don't want you thinking that you have to have all the answers tonight. If you have a question, please don't be frustrated because we can't answer it. It may be a question that the commissioners also are interested in knowing. So what we do this over and over again, and we do public comments quite frequently, and I know it's a little bit frustrating, but please still ask your question because it may be something that they, again, don't expect a response from them, but it may be during the hearing they will ask Kentucky Power your question. They do read the comments. I can assure you, I have watched them, I have talked to them, they read all the public comments. They are all 3 here tonight. In addition to that, this hearing tonight will be the video from this will be part of the record. Any document, if you came here and you were expecting to speak for 20 minutes and you find out that that's not the length of time, but you haven't written up, you can submit your public comments, or if you have an attachment, and we will include it. Sherry will help us include it in the record. Yes, sir.
You say a 3-person board?
The 3 commissioners here. Yes, sir.
And these 3 people are the, I think you use the term judges?
The judges in this case, yes, sir.
Who will rule on the outcome?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So, yes, sir.
Are you going to introduce the commission?
They're going to introduce themselves. So, yes, sir.
So we got 3 commissioners, that's all there is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What is their background and their employment history? Because we'd like to know who's representing.
When they get a chance to introduce themselves, if they would like to share it, there's also a biography on our website for each one of them. I will tell you that if for some reason either of the parties do not agree with the decision that is made, they may appeal it. It goes to the Franklin Circuit Court. Then the judge in the Franklin Circuit Court can either say yay or nay on the appeal. If they say that yes, we agree that the commissioners got it wrong, then it goes back to the commissioners. Or if someone doesn't like that decision, it can also go to the Kentucky Court of Appeals. So this is, in any case, the representatives on either side may do that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what are they gonna do for Social Security and disability people that, has electricity and can't afford the price increase?
Okay, say that for your public comment. So when we move into that section, you can speak to that. Yes.
How many of the commissioners does it take to make the decision?
No, it does not have to be unanimous. It can be 2 with 1 dissension. So, yes, sir.
With the proceeding, what's the burden of persuasion? Does Kentucky Power have to prove it's reasonable, or does the citizens have to prove?
No, so the burden of proof is on the utility that what has been demonstrated is that their application is a fair, just, and reasonable. So, yes, ma'am.
In their application, are they saying why they need this 14% increase?
Yes, so there's quite a bit of testimony if you're interested in reading it to why each component. It's very detailed. You certainly are welcome to offer public comments if you look at something that you don't agree with or that you have a question about. So,
you
yeah.
have to go online to read this case in order to find out why they're doing this increase, in order to contest it, or to say our views on it.
Well, if you as an individual are interested in it, then yes, you would need to do that. Now, keep in mind, the Attorney General is your representative in this case as your advocate, and they have hired expert witnesses, and their job is to review it on behalf of the citizens.
Do they consider us experts? I mean,
No, they've hired people who are extensively experienced in reviewing utility rates and cases. They're putting on their own witnesses as part of the case, so that will be part of the evidentiary hearing. But their role as charged by the legislature is to represent you as the consumers.
so what we're here tonight is just, you're letting us know that you're gonna go up for us to get my hope to contest this increase.
Not me. So keep in mind, I'm the executive director of the Public Service Commission. So
Who's standing up for us?
tonight there is not a representative from the Attorney General's office, but during the hearing there will be a representative from the Attorney General's office and their witnesses. Yes, Mr. So I'm sorry. Let me ask this one and then I'll come back. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to clarify, who determines what's fair, just, and reasonable?
So the commissioners, and they speak through their order. So, the order will be very detailed as to the justification, the sides of the case, weighing evidence, and why they make the decision. Okay, yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll come back to you. Okay.
Will there be anybody, doing a video of the hearing or anything?
Yes, thank you for asking that. You can watch the hearing live with on our website. There is a YouTube link, and you can watch it while it's going on. And then it will be posted afterwards. All of the videos become part of the case record.
And how long does the hearing last?
It can depend. We had scheduled a number of days. I think we had scheduled 4 days for this hearing, all day. I don't know that it will take that long. Obviously, there are a lot of questions that have been asked as part of this case. Hang on just a second. Yes, sir.
How many counties do you
So there are 20 counties that are served by Kentucky Power, either in total or in part.
Second, you said that you're gonna have expert witnesses for Kentucky Power for us.
Okay, so the parties to the case hire expert witnesses. So I believe in this case, both Kentucky Power and the Attorney General have hired expert witnesses. That I don't know. So, again, they would be the witnesses on behalf of the parties in the case, just like if you were in a court case that they're putting on their experts. So hang on just a second, yes ma'am.
Can you explain, did you say that the evidentiary standard is fair, just, and reasonable as opposed to actually court of law compliance with the evidence? So the only standard they have to decide is whether Kentucky Power has proven that these rates are just, fair, and reasonable.
That's the statutory standard that is in that is the authority that is given. So providing adequate service at fair, just, and reasonable rates. Okay, so hang on just a second. I think I had another question over here. Okay, yes.
Why would we're standing in the poorest congressional district in the United States, do we get to pay 50% higher rate than those living closer to Frankfurt? What is the mixture here that asks the poorest to pay the most? I have a slogan, poor pay more, and this is a demonstration of it. Sock it to the poor.
Okay, so can you please, when we get to the public comment period, that would be something that you would need to ask that question during the public comment period. So is there, yes ma'am?
I'm assuming that a bill impact analysis has been done on low-income fixed income households. Is that, are the results of that, public record?
Anything that has been conducted as part of the case is part of the record of the case.
And we would find that on the website?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I don't know that there is a specific impact analysis, but we have talked about that. There is a bill analysis as part of the case record. So, and it does say how many users and at what level. So I know you all are very anxious, so unless there are other questions about the process, I'm assuming that you all would like to get into public comment. So with that, if you'll give us just a minute or two to let our tech group change things, and then the chair will kick off the public comment period. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Again, you can ask that during the public comment period, okay? So, well, this is about the questions are about the process. If you would like to look at their bio or at their information. Yes, sir.
On this $96 million they're trying to raise, is that just for Ashland, or is this over the whole?
That's over the Kentucky Power territory.
Because they lost a pretty big client down here, they still, it's probably $8 to $10 million a month in revenue, and then it kind of adds up to that number, that's why I was asking.
Yep. Okay. Again, please save those kind of questions for the public comment. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry?
You know, if the cell wouldn't have fallen through, would we still be here?
Again, that may be something you want to ask during public comment. So, okay. So, no, we are not able to answer questions about the case, so we will not discuss the details. Okay, so what I said, what I tried to emphasize is, again, this is like you going into your neighbor maybe has gotten a DUI, and you go into the court case and you want to stand up and talk to the judge and ask questions. This is what the purpose of this meeting tonight is, for the commissioners to hear from you all. It does not mean that we're able to answer questions, but it gives you an opportunity to voice your concerns, to ask questions. And again, if you ask a question tonight, we will not answer it tonight unless it's about the process. But it may be something that one of the commissioners is also thinking about. Or maybe they haven't thought about it, and by you asking that question, they will ask Kentucky Power during the hearing. So that it's not a waste of time for you to come up and ask questions, is what I'm trying to say. So, well, again, if you have a question about the process, if not, I'm gonna turn it over to the chair. I think I had a question over here. Yes, sir.
I see a slide here a minute ago saying that the Public Service Commission is funded by the utilities profitability.
Yes, but it,
So how's that not slanted toward?
let me explain a little bit.
You're not gonna bite the hand that feeds you.
So
And
let
you
me,
all got the judges and you're all got representatives free.
okay, so if you'll let me respond, the assessment it's basically divided up among all of the utilities. The General Assembly still has to determine what our budget level is. So when you say, so the General Assembly still says, okay, no, Kentucky Public Service Commission, that your request for your budget is too high. So they will. So I'm sorry.
How many times that happened?
It has happened many times. So.
Well, I don't say that, but I don't see, I can see how much, because.
Okay, and we need to talk about the process of the case. I appreciate your comment, and I've tried to respond, but I'm trying to keep the temperature, but I know people want to get up and talk about the case. Yes, sir.
You brought up 20 counties that be affected. Was everybody, not everybody, but was every county notified that this was in the school?
They were supposed to, and the notice is in the case record. So it was, there were public notice put up under the statutory requirements of public meeting. For the public notice requirements are in the statutes on what they have to meet. So some of it may be a newspaper advertisement, some of it, and I don't know all of the details on this particular notice, but they have to demonstrate that they have met the requirements of public notice. So, okay, with that, I'm seeing a couple more hands. Do you have a question about the process? Okay, again, if you have a question about the process of the case, I'll be happy to take it. If not, I'm going to move in. Please, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I cannot answer your questions tonight. There's some of you, I need you to ask them as part of the public comment. Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm going to put this up. If you go to psc.ky.gov, there is a tab called Commission Record, and you go in and you enter the case number, and it will pull up everything that has been filed by every party in the case. There's also a little folder on the left-hand side that says public comments, and you can go in and read what the public comments if you're interested. So, okay. With that, I'm going to chair. Okay. I will leave this up here.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Angie Hatton. I'm chair of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. Joining me tonight are Commissioners Mary Pat Regan and Andrew Wood, and we are here to hear public comments. This is not something we're required to do. It's something we do voluntarily because we want to hear what you have to say. I've been in your shoes. I came and testified at least 6 times before the Public Service Commission in my previous life before I was a commissioner. It's very important to me that we hear what you have to say. That said, I'm going to expect everyone to behave civilly. My staff will not be subjected to abuse or vulgarities. I know you to be good people. I'm from the Appalachian region myself. I know we're all good people and we can act accordingly. So as long as you guys are civil, we'll hear everything you've got to say tonight. If you have questions, we're the judges. We can't prejudge a case. We can listen. But if you ask questions, very often, if you watch our hearings, we ask of the applicant at the hearing questions we heard at public comment hearings. Again, we want to hear what you have to say. We're here voluntarily, and we'll listen as long as you guys want to talk tonight. We have we need to have a limit so that everybody gets a chance. If one of you talks for 2 hours and other people have to get home to their kids, then other people aren't going to get a chance to talk. So with the number of people that have signed in, which is well over 150, we're going to do a 5-minute limit. Commissioner Regan is gonna time that for me, and when you get to your 5 minutes, she'll hold up her hand, and then you can wrap up your sentence, but really, we need to hold to that 5 minutes. For people who come to these often, you know that there are always people who try to go over, and it's just not very courteous to your fellow public commenters. If we have public officials here who want to go first because they have some other obligation, you can, wave and get my attention, and we can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go in the order that you signed in. And for those who indicated yes with the Y on the sign-in sheet that they want to speak, I will go through all of the yeses and allow you to speak. There were a number of people who put question mark or maybe. So after we finished all the yeses, then we'll come back through and see if anybody else wanted to speak. I can go through the maybes, or people can come up in an orderly manner and each speak after that. But let's see. Oh, and we've had a lot of different opportunities to hear public comment where people decide they want to talk again and they want to get back up and talk again. We're not going to be able to do that tonight. If you have something more to say after you've already talked once, you can come to the public comment hearing. That's in person in Frankfurt on Tuesday, or you can email us and write as long as you want. And if you have a lot to say, put it in an email or write us a letter, and we do read them. So if you have more to say than the 5 minutes, you can come on Tuesday, or you can write us by email or letter, but I'm not going to let everybody speak twice tonight because I've learned my lesson about that. It ends up being a disaster every time. So with that, when I call your name, you can come forward to this podium here and tell us your name and where you live, at least the city. You don't have to tell us exact address or anything like that, but tell us your name and where you live, and then Commissioner Regan will start the timer at 5 minutes. So the first on the list that indicated yes is Troy Combs.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Troy Combs. I'm the mayor of the city of Grayson. I am here today to speak in opposition of this measure that I believe is unconscionable. This 50% increase will undoubtedly hurt families in the city of Grayson and my area. The reasons for that being we are already an economically stressed region. People are going to be put in a situation where they're going to have to choose between paying their electric bill or paying for medicine and food. That I have no doubt. The justification for this increase allegedly is new equipment as well as a power plant and maintaining company profits. Well, I haven't seen the budget sheets, but I have a strong feeling that Kentucky Power has not lost money or had a losing quarter in the last 50 years. So I have some questions tonight. My questions would be, where is that profit going exactly? If Kentucky Power is maintaining a marginal profit of 4% annually and wants to increase to the authorized rate, why are they not being held responsible for setting money back? If they're able to operate at these margins, why haven't they done so? Why can they not continue to do so? What measures have been taken to try to avoid these rate increases each year? And why is the company allowed to do it without setting those money back and taking steps and measures to account for those costs in the future? My next question would be, what are the exact expenses or factors that are having to necessitate this increase? We're all dealing with inflation. We're all dealing with higher costs. Blankly stating that they're having higher costs, it's egregious to suggest that they're having to raise it 15%. They have it up here that they're requesting an adjustment. I work in city government. We make CPI adjustments every year. And I can tell you 15% is beyond reasonable, far beyond. Those are the questions I have for the commission. I thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. And next on the list that indicated yes is Michael W. Cottle.
I just have a few comments to make here. I'm from Ashland, by the way. Last night, looking online, just checked some things out. Kentucky Power's rate right now is 15.4 cents per kilowatt. East Kentucky Power out of Maysville is 9 cents per kilowatt. LG&E, 12.4 cents a kilowatt. Kentucky Utilities out of Lexington, 13.6. OMU out of Owensboro, 13.4. Paducah's is 13.5. Frankfurt's is 9.6. Clark County Co-op, 13.5. Then Kentucky Utilities for Richmond is 12 cents. State average is 13.56. And they already get 15.4 out of us. They want to raise another 15%. We're the highest in the state. Go across the river to Ohio. Ohio Power, what used to be DPN, now AES, and Ohio Edison are all 9.8 to 9.11. And I mean, we're paying outrageous. West Virginia actually beats us at 17 and 16 cents. When Kentucky Power shut down one of the units of Big Sandy, they cut the newest and the largest. They kept the oldest unit and the smallest unit. Then they started buying from Appalachian Power at 17 cents a kilowatt, which is higher than anybody else around. Instead of buying from Ohio Power, all AEPs. AEP actually owns powerhouses in 11 states. They had 19.7 billion in revenue last year, 2.9 million profit, and that's all part of the Kentucky Powers. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And the next on the list is Robin Ruggles.
Hi, welcome here tonight. My name is Robin Ruggles, and I am a citizen here of Ashland, Kentucky. I'm a 4th generation Boyd County and an 8th generation of Northeast Kentucky. Very proud of my community. But these hills seem to be getting smaller and smaller, and it seems tighter and tighter to be able to live here when every time we turn around, there is some new increase. Well, I'm blessed to say that I am a retired senior citizen, and I am on Medicare, and I have my retirement from my largest employer, which is King's Letters Medical Center. Even with that, I get a COLA increase, which has me just paying enough of my Medicare supplement, and then still I have to come $4 more out of pocket to pay that. So it's kind of hard sometimes, you know, and we're dealing with record inflation. And I hear Kentucky Power speaking of they've got to give money to their shareholders and their stockholders. Well, my shareholders and my stockholders are the gas company, the water company, life insurance, auto insurance, and all the other bills. Now, while I would love to keep everything warm and Christmas lights on, sometimes it becomes very, very hard. So I speak as the people who are on a fixed income, or even the ones that are working full-time that just don't have money here and there. I hear this quote of corporate greed, and I hate to pick on people, but I do believe it is a form of corporate greed, because when I can't meet certain bills, I have to tighten my belt somewhere. So how do you say I'm making record profits this year, but still I need to make sure that I put this on the backs of everyone who's just trying to get through the day? Now, I've seen things over the holidays about WSAC and AEP. Kentucky Power, we're partnering together to make toys and donations for our less fortunate, and that's a noble effort. But I submit that if we didn't keep having these increases, that family members, even on a tight budget, would be able to buy their own children and grandchildren their own presents without having to rely on community input, right? So, I mean, I submit to you that I heard a story today from a girl who said she can't come because she's working 2 jobs. One of them is at a local nursing home, and the other one is what job she can get. And her husband died 3 years ago. She has decided she has to sell her family home now to move in with her mother, and hopefully they'll be able to maintain the residence. When your power bill is higher than your mortgage, something's terribly wrong. And I just ask you to submit not 1 more cent. Not 1 more cent. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Shauna McCown.
Top of my notes, and I'm gonna mirror a lot of what everybody else has said. I'm coming because I'm most concerned about the most vulnerable in our community. I'm a substitute teacher, and I have seen firsthand that our students in our districts, how they suffer, and I know we send them home, we send some kids home with food on the weekends because their families can't afford to have reliable snacks and food to feed their children. And this isn't necessarily anything directly related, but I know that also our school districts struggle with being able to employ enough school bus drivers to make sure that our kids get to school. So our kids are already struggling. And like someone mentioned, with people that are on disability or have limited income, sometimes they have to choose between food and electricity and medication. And also with public education, we have non-traditional instruction. So if we have a day where kids can get to the school and they have to have power to do their classwork, if their parents couldn't afford that bill or whatever that week and they're sleeping in blankets to stay warm at night, they're going to miss out even more on education. So I'm really concerned about the most vulnerable in our community, people with disabilities and children, especially since it's not our fault at all, but especially not their fault. I also saw online that Kentucky Power recently was having a hiring event, which now that I know that they plan to make so much money, because I wondered, why are they having a hiring event if one of their reasonings for raising our rates is because they don't have enough economic growth or get enough from us? How are they able to get all these jobs? But either something's happening that I don't know, or they plan on this happening already and they're going ahead and hiring people. That seems suspicious to me. And also, what was mentioned earlier about how one of the things that our utilities companies have to prove is that they are able to make a profit off of those. It's really kind of not fair whenever the little industry that we have in this area is either taken away from us or promised to us and never delivered upon. And then they're going to come and say, well, you guys need to help us carry the cost of this, when it's not our decision to make those are top-down decisions. And then lastly, I do want to make sure that when you guys are making a decision about what's fair and reasonable, and I forget the last word, that the rubric includes our most vulnerable and isn't just centered around what the Kentucky Power wants, and that everything is on that rubric and not just the strong power holders. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next is Suzanne Griffith.
My name is Suzanne Griffith, and I come from Ashland, Kentucky. And first of all, I want to say thank you for coming here and listening to the concerns of all the people in this room. This is the third meeting I have attended, and the public has spoken in unison that another rate hike is unaffordable. I hope you were listening and will rule accordingly. Some facts to review. Kentucky Power sells 48% less electricity than they did in 2010. Kentucky Power ratepayers currently pay the highest average bill in the state, use 22% less electricity than they did in 2010, have seen a 74% rise in rates since 2010, while the normal rate of inflation since 2010 is 50%. And the proposed 14.9% increase will make it a 100% rate increase since 2010. The rate hike path Kentucky Power is on at close to twice the rate of normal inflation is not sustainable, and a correction must be made. Another large expense, as mentioned in case number 00175, separate from the rate hike that ratepayers will be responsible for, is one of Mitchell's 2 concrete cooling towers is failing structurally and needs to be reinforced or replaced, costing between $350 million to $375 million. That is a lot of money to invest in a coal plant set to be decommissioned in 2040. I would much rather see ratepayer money invested in Eastern Kentucky, where it is so desperately needed.
as quoted from the Lexington Herald Leader on this case, yet the PSC was forced to either permit continued investment in a 54-year-old plant in another state or allow Kentucky Power customers to be at the mercy of the market. Ms. Hatton, you said neither option is good for customers, and we are forced to choose between the least bad. Frankly, I'm tired of least bad decisions and straight up bad decisions that Kentucky Power has made, especially the decommissioning of Big Sandy 2. Our region needs and deserves positive decisions. Our 606 family, look at it, this is our 606 family. Sorry. Can't keep coming back every 2 or 3 years for devastating rate hikes that do nothing to attract population, industries, and businesses to our area. Solutions must be found. Economic development is key, and this is the one point Cynthia Wiseman and I agreed on when we met. I left you with homework at the Hazard meeting, and I hope you have studied up on it. I sure have. The One East Kentucky plan is vital to economic development in Eastern Kentucky. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, 95% of all new jobs incentivized in Kentucky have been in communities west of I-75. That leaves only 5% of incentivized jobs creation in Eastern Kentucky. The team at One East Kentucky proposes switching that to a 4-tier model so that we'll get more of the money. Legislation based on the One East plan proposal will be coming up this session. I know Kentucky Power has a strong relationship with One East Kentucky. I am asking them to support this legislation and the PSC to give input as well. If passed, listen really close here, this legislation may be used in the final order as a viable path forward as opposed to the rate hike. In addition, other suggested legislative goals are on the table, including what Governor Beshear said about $25 million going to the Rural Economic Development Fund. I'm asking the PSC to stand strong and deny this in full, this unjust, unreasonable, unaffordable, and morally indefensible rate hike, especially knowing the big expense of the damaged cooling tower will be landing on ratepayers' bills as yet another surcharge. And by the way, Kentucky Power hasn't even addressed that with us yet. I'm taking this further by suggesting a moratorium on any rate hikes for at least 5 years in order for the Kentucky Power Service area to work with the state legislature, Kentucky Cabinet of Economic Development, and local entities to produce positive results that could ultimately address the two main reasons Kentucky Power uses over and over and over again for raising our rates: loss of population loss and industry loss. We must get to the root of this issue. The truth is, as 606 tries to rise up from the ashes of the decline of coal, which Kentucky Power, I'm almost done, steel and other industries, we need a hand up. We need a hand up, not a hand out, and we sure as hell don't need the boot of high electric rates on our neck. See you Tuesday.
Thank you. And next is Paula Bowling.
Good evening, I'm Paula Bowling. Before we get started, in interest of full disclosure, I've never worked for an electrical utility, but I am a qualified design consultant and cost estimator that has worked in the heavy industrial sector since 1998. So I'll go ahead and get started now. And well, here we are again. Anyone that knows me knows that I've been attending these meetings for years. I'm the one that is always here protesting another rate hike and asking for our transmission lines to be buried. That trimming trees and cutting brush isn't enough to guarantee a resilient power supply, and as consumers, we deserve more. I am loved so much by Kentucky Power that the last meeting, I was called a liar by a Kentucky Power representative because I dared to point out how long I was without power during an ice storm. And by the way, on that front, I have receipts. Before we get down to it, before I get into specifics, first let me offer some perspective on the impact that ever-increasing power rate hikes are having on consumers. On average, electric bills are increasing at twice the rate of inflation. Over 52 million Americans were unable to pay their electric bills at least once last year, and annually, approximately 3 million people have their electricity shut off. Here in Eastern Kentucky, we are paying some of the highest rates in the nation. IOUs, investor-owned utilities, which are private monopolies, by the way, like Kentucky Power, a subsidiary of American Electric Power, like to paint a picture that they are asking for rates that are just and reasonable. The reality paints a different picture. When asking for rate hikes, IOUs want you to believe they are only asking for operating costs, salaries and cost of fuel, maintenance costs and capital investments, including the cost of power plant upgrade projects, the cost of infrastructure investments and maintenance costs, and a little on top, for a just and reasonable profit known as rate of return. Operating and maintenance costs are straightforward and can be seen as openly observable costs. Where things get murky is calculating the cost of capital investments, and that's my bailiwick. These costs must be estimated, and IOUs are over-investing in projects that don't benefit consumers or the environment, but instead are designed to increase their rate of return. IOUs devote significant resources to securing approvals for higher rates. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent to retain lawyers, economists, accountants, and PR specialists that specialize in intervening on the IOU's behalf and with experts in reports. Millions are also spent on lobbying on federal and state levels. To their detriment, the consumer is paying for this. What do I mean by investing in projects that don't benefit the consumer or the environment? Over the next 5 years, load growth is projected to increase by 25%, driven by data center expansion. AI and cloud services are expected to more than double energy consumption by the end of the decade. This will be costly, but is a small but necessary piece of the puzzle concerning consumer burden. Where consumers are being squeezed unnecessarily is instead of IOUs investing in upgrades such as non-wired alternatives, which reduces reliance on traditional transmission infrastructure, or buried transmission lines that keep costly repairs in check when destructive weather events occur. They are dumping capital into legacy assets like poles and wires, and customers are footing the bill. The current financial model of IOUs disincentivizes grid improvements that allow for efficiency. This has even been acknowledged in a report by the DOJ just last year. I also want to point out that EVs, I've heard this before, EVs is what impacting our costs in the grid. The grid capacity build out for data AI centers alone, just over the next 5 years, is enough to charge 2 electrified vehicles for every single household in the U.S. So there's that. Let's dismiss that. So what now? Smart grid technology and grid enhancing technologies must be embraced. Grid enhancing technologies are essential to maintaining a reliable grid. Renewable energy integration must be capitalized upon in Kentucky. Coal has been in decline since the 1950s and is an outdated technology that is contributing to climate change. It is no longer feasible to maintain this outdated technology. Instead, distributed energy resources such as solar panels should be utilized. I have more, and I will submit that. But in closing, Kentucky Power simply cannot keep passing the cost of old, outdated technology off to the ratepayers while they rake in profits. Dragging their feet or completely ignoring improvements that really benefit customers have to stop. In closing, if Kentucky Power does not commit to investments that benefit consumers and to keeping our bills affordable, my next move is to advocate for and seek support for public utilities. I'm watching and waiting, Kentucky Power. Thank you. The ball is in your court.
forgive me if I mispronounce, but Ed Rajunas? 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 By the way, I want to thank you all for adhering to the time limits and for being respectful and not using abusive and vulgar language. We very much appreciate that tonight. Go ahead, sir.
Usually what I say is the D is silent. I think in the month of June, it's Rejunas. Okay. Public Service Commission. Appointed by the governor, and if I'm right, confirmed by Senate. You all have a seal. And on this seal, it says fair, just, okay, reasonable. AEP, by the way of Kentucky Power, is requesting a 14.9% residential increase in the rate. This is probably averaging, as we saw here on the screen earlier, pretty close to $27 per person or household. Today, I'm joining my fellow customers, I'll call us, of AEP, and I always use that because they are the mother load here, and Kentucky Power, and asking this commission, and I want you to listen closely. We want you to deny, and I'm going to say that again, deny, not reduce. Now think of that again. Deny, do not reduce the residential rate. Several years ago, AEP, along with the Big Sandy Power Company, made a decision to decommission, and I think, Mark, I'm right, Unit 2 of the Big Sandy plant. At the cost to retrofit the unit was so high that they decided itself to, well, the cost high was to add equipment to the existing equipment called scrubbers, I think were the names we used. And this was to wash and clean the coal and reduce sulfur emissions, is what I believe this was named. Now, other than that, without the high costs, they decided that best decision to make was to pay $500 million and assume a 50% debt and liability of the Mitchell plant. Mitchell plant, what's the Mitchell plant? We don't know what the Mitchell plant is. It's in West Virginia. Mitchell plant burns coal, and it burns a higher sulfur than what the Big Sandy did. What you're going to see up there, and in our thing, is a West Virginia, northern West Virginia, and western Pennsylvania, down in there with a higher sulfur itself. The generated power from the Mitchell plant itself, as a result of this higher sulfur coal, is projected, and the projected life of the plant is, I think, to end in 2040. That's just 14 years from now, I guess. What is the plan then? Are they thinking this far ahead? I don't know. That's a question to maybe be looking into. The CEO of AEP announced at his last shareholder meeting that the future earnings will increase. He also said margins are going to increase. Returns are going to increase to the shareholders. Stock is going to increase along with the dividends. We are outperforming other utilities, were the words used itself. And up to date now, AEP stock today 4 o'clock, closed at $115.93 per share. That's of January 8th. AEP's annual dividend is $4.02 per share. Not real high, not low, but a good return itself. Stock prices for American Electric Power itself have increased. Now, don't be alarmed at this number I give you. Up to $75 per share in the last 15 years.
Your time is up. I'll allow you to wrap up real quick, and then you can submit anything else that you have to say in writing or come on Tuesday.
Okay, all right. I'm the only one who's been taking it all the time. Let me borrow some of theirs. Okay. Kentucky Power has faced a declining population, an industrial production elimination, we'll call it, yet they need an increase in rates. Now, do you, as your ratepayers, do, is what we need to say. Plan ahead. We down in here get increases from the store and wherever else we go down in there. We look at our budgets, especially the retirees, which you guys are not in range for yet. And we have to readjust our budget. I'm telling you, Kentucky Power needs to readjust, not come to the commission and to the, well, not to us, but to you all, say, I need more money. Needs to take a hard look at that. Once again, let me say to you, the three of you all, deny, not reduce.
Next on the list looks like Stephanie Stepp.
I'm Stephanie Stepp. I'm here from Asheville, Kentucky. I used to be employed with a subcontractor of AEP. It started out as Dillard Smith, and they sold out to Service Electric. During that time, I was there for about 3 years. I saw a lot of things that you all need to know about that I think is being passed on to the customers. And the gross negligence that I saw, it still this day makes me sick. I didn't speak up because of fear of what people would do to me. But I'm tired of being quiet. I'm going to stand up for what I saw. I saw the superintendent of one of these companies. He would use the I can't believe that they did this, but they would use the equipment that we did transmission power lines, okay, mainly in Moundsville, West Virginia. And we would do upgrades there. So I started out as a secretary there. Let me give you a little bit of history. And then during that time, when Pike Electric opened up, the office manager that was working with Service Electric, he transferred over to Pike. Well, during that time, you know, I was put in charge of the office. So I was, you know, doing all the transmission power lines for, you know, hiring the men, firing the men, you know, working with the local union. And I'm sorry, it's just emotional for me to speak this truth. But they put me in charge of the office, okay, for this area. And the men, the superintendent, and I won't name names, I'll tell you all privately, but I don't want to expose anyone publicly yet as far as his name. But he would use his fuel cards and the equipment on his own farm out in Elliott County. And he would take the equipment from Asheville, Kentucky, and travel all the way to Elliott County to his farm and use that equipment and charge it to the company. And I would do the receipts and the fuel cards, and I did payroll. And I was in charge of all of this, even though they wouldn't promote me because they said because I'm a woman, they wouldn't promote me to the office manager. And they didn't want to pay me what I deserved when that gentleman quit. But that's beside the point. The point is, this gentleman would use our fuel cards to fuel our trucks for their equipment on his personal freaking farm. You cannot do that. And I would see these men come in, and when I first started working there, I got so frustrated because I've always worked for like Cabell, Huntington Hospital and King's Daughters, in the ER, and I've always seen how processes are done. And then when my dad passed away, I couldn't handle healthcare anymore. So Bill Wagner knew my dad, and he said, hey, Gillard Smith is hiring, Stephanie, you'd be great at this job. So I went in as a secretary. Well, when I first got there, I saw these men, and I'm not putting the utility workers down at all. I have great respect for these linemen. They work so hard. But the PPE that we would order, it would be laid out in the garage at Gillard Smith, and these men could come in and grab as much as they want at any time. Okay, there's no accountability. There was no, if they wanted a pack of gloves, if they needed one pair of gloves, okay, say one man needed it, they would come in and take a whole freaking 12-pack. Okay, where's the accountability? This amount of money is passed on to the customer, and that is not right. And I saw it time after time after time. And it wasn't just the PPE. It was, these dinners they take them out on. And I understand we got to feed our workers. We got to feed them good. But sometimes they would tell them to order whatever they wanted. They would go to these big steakhouses and, pay for everything. And then during storms, these guys, I understand we are supposed to pay for their hotels and their food, but they also get per diem. While they're out on storm, $150 a day, how is that right? Because that's getting passed on to all of us. And that is so not right. And it bothers me so much. And I've stayed quiet for so long because I know that these men will hurt me. And I'm a single mom, and I take care of my mom who just recently had another stroke and just fought colon cancer. And I don't have much money. I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm actually on disability because of a car wreck that was not my fault. And that's a whole other issue. But I'm getting ready to fight that too. But the money that they spent, you all, is disgusting. It makes me so sad that I didn't speak up sooner. Because all of us are paid. Do you all know what the rate is right now that AEP is paying over cost? Because when I worked in 2013, it was 20% over cost that the subs were charging AEP to do these transmission power line upgrades. So 20% over cost on top of all the PPE, on top of all the gas that this idiot superintendent was charging back to the freaking company because he wanted to upgrade his farm and use our bulldozers or whatever, and our trucks. All of our company trucks, all of our fuel. These people would go home for no reason when they should have been at the job.
You're a couple minutes over time, but
I'm sorry.
I just was going to allow you to wrap up, but I'd encourage you to write all this down or come and speak on Tuesday and finish it.
Okay. But, it's disgusting to see. I'm trying not to break down because it makes me so mad that they passed all this on to us. And I don't know what the charge back, what they charge over cost right now, if it's 20% or 30%. I saw it. I saw people, they would argue back and forth. Okay, we got to do 20% on this job or 25 on this job or, when is enough enough? We cannot afford this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
again, forgive me if I mispronounce, but Antley Gibson.
You got a birthday. No, I'm gonna make it brief. My name's Anthony Gibson. I do live here in Nashville. I have most of my life. At Susan Griffith, she's hard to follow. We got a lot of good people in here. I never knew what the rate difference was between here and Frankfurt. I bet you all really enjoy that, don't you? Along with the cheap gas too, because we get right by the refinery too. You know, when you look up Kentucky Fire, it all refers back to AEP. When one man gets a $13 million bonus, that's ridiculous. That's one man. There's still about 4 others. Theirs ain't as big as his. As far as your opening statements with reliability, I've got 2 backup generators, 1 for each house. It's very unreliable. I'm paying the highest rates in the state for bad electricity. I remember back when the ice storm hit, line crewman standing there. I've got 20 acres of woods. I told him, I said, get them big trees out there, because the next storm's going to take fire lines down again. Oh, sir, we can't do that. I said, why not? You're already here. He said, we can't touch them till the storm brings them down, and it's declared an emergency, so the state, the government, and insurance pays for the repair. And they're wanting to add another fee on to us. I was at Catlettsburg in 2023 when they wanted their 18.9% raise. This is another song and dance. Y'all made us feel good thinking you only give them a 5.6% raise. What are you going to give them this time? They're asking 14.9, you're going to give them 3 or 4% raise. It's like, oh, we saved you all money. Why are we paying the highest rates here, people? No rate increase. Get our rates down to match the rest of the states. We have no increase because of bad leadership. We lost a majority of the tire producing plant because of bad leadership. I worked construction for 20 years. I helped all that stuff up the road with police escort. Thinking, oh, well, they're going to save coal. Nope, didn't do it. Another waste of money. Y'all keep coming up here, having these meetings. I keep coming to them. We told you in 2023, the bonuses, the profits. Does AEP deserve more than $14 billion profit? Gross profit? Do they deserve more than that? Because every year their gross profit goes up. Y'all give them a surcharge last year. You granted it to them. The surcharge was supposed to be to reduce future rate increases. What do they do in less than a year? We want another rate increase. So here we are dancing. I'm not a good dancer. I can't breathe very, very well, but here we are dancing again. I guess y'all be up here next year when they do the same thing. I'm going to cut it off because there's a lot of people give you a lot of information. I bet y'all really like hearing it, don't you? Because it does no good. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, next on the list that indicated they wanted to speak is Harold Sloan.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Harold Sloan. I'm mayor with the city of Louisa, just down the road, where Big Sandy's been mentioned several times tonight. And thank you so much for having this and for the opportunity for these fine folks to share their concerns with you. So tonight, I'm here to speak about and respectfully ask that you would consider the downstream impacts that this increase has on specifically public water and wastewater facilities. As mayor, that's something that's very important to me, as our rates and water and wastewater have already crept up on the citizens as well. In Louisa, as in many communities across eastern Kentucky, our water and wastewater systems are among the most energy dependent public facilities that there is, without question. We operate averaging $40,000 a month power bill for our small water and wastewater inlet. Pumps, treatment processes, regulatory compliance require consistent and affordable electric power. And let me make this clear, electricity is not optional for us. It is essential. When electric rates rise at this magnitude, we understand there's always increases, but at this magnitude, public utilities cannot absorb this type of increase. Unlike private industry like this, municipal utilities have no profit margin, as most of you all already know, and very limited reserve. So the result is unavoidable higher electric costs that force higher water and sewer rates. That's my concern with this tonight, what this will do to the water and sewer rates for our same customers, the same people that are here that can't afford this. That means our residents are hit twice. First through the increased electric bills, and then again through the increased water and wastewater rates. This compounding effect is especially difficult for seniors on fixed incomes, working families, and most importantly, our small businesses who are already struggling with affordability. Our water and wastewater systems are already facing growing financial pressures, as you know, with aging infrastructure and regulatory mandates, chemical costs, labor, and capital improvements. The increase in electric rates accelerates the need for local rate increases and forces difficult decisions by us local officials. Sometimes we delay maintenance, we postpone improvements, and we do those things to compensate for these electricity rates without putting it on the customers. Local elected officials often are the ones who have to explain these increases to the public. We see firsthand the strain utility costs placed on household budget. Decisions made here with you all directly impact public health, economic development, and basic quality of life in small communities like Louisa. I like to end with one example. We, as a utility commission in the city, have tried to offset the increasing cost of power by decreasing consumption in every way we can. We did a project 2 years ago that cost $35,000 to add capacitor banks to a project inside the water plant. We were supposed to recoup the cost in 3 years. This project, $35,000, would save us $35,000 in 3 years. And then we would see savings going forward. With this increase, we will take a $6,000 a month increase, resulting in $72,000 per year, which will null and void the project that we did in Louisa. While I understand everything is going up, I would just ask that you all consider, would there ever be a chance that other utilities would be exempt from these raises that would in turn help these citizens that are here complaining tonight? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And next on the list, I believe, is Adam Rice from Carl Rogers' office.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Again, my name is Adam Rice. I'm the field rep for the area for Congressman Rogers. I'm here on his behalf while he's in Washington fulfilling his duties. I live in Paintsville, just down the road off 23. While this issue falls under state jurisdiction, Congressman Rogers works tirelessly to rein in costly regulations at the federal level that hurts our industry and our people. We are still feeling, obviously, the impact of the Obama administration war on coal and the closure of the coal-fired power plant at Sandy Louisa, as well as the loss of 15,000 coal mining jobs in our region. Congressman Rogers has cut unnecessary funding to the EPA and worked to reverse the Biden administration's misguided Green New Deal policy.
I'm going to ask everyone to please listen when other people are talking.
Additionally, our region has suffered multiple major disasters in recent years. Many of these same people who've lost everything, I know the ice storm was mentioned earlier, they've lost everything they've owned and now facing higher electric bills as they are starting to gain ground beneath their feet. Congressman Rogers has submitted his comments for the record online, but asked that I be here today as well. So we appreciate your time and appreciate you listening to the constituents. Thank you.
All right, forgive me again if I'm mispronouncing, but it looks like Frosty Evans. Sorry, it's from Worthington, Kentucky. Could be Crosby or Frosty Evans. Okay. Well, I'll give you another opportunity if I've mispronounced the name. The next on the list then is Victor Wilson.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Victor Wilson. I live in Ashland, a former commissioner in Huntington, West Virginia, for historic preservation. And when I think about the number of people in this community that live on fixed income, a lot of it on Social Security that received a 2.75 increase this year, where do you expect, as a commission, for them to come up with the money to pay for this rate hike? I'm retired from the healthcare field. Are you recommending that they not take their heart medication, or that they not take their blood pressure medication, or that they not go and see their children at the holidays? Exactly where is it that you suggest they come up with this money? And when I took a train trip across the United States, in the Midwest, I saw one state where there were banks and banks and banks of windmills. Why isn't our local electric company investing in free energy? You can on farms, you can put solar cells up 20 feet high, cattle can graze beneath them, farmers can farm their crops beneath them, and they found out actually with solar cells that they have higher crop production because it's diminished sunlight burning their crops up. Why aren't they making capital investments towards something which has a free source? Instead of paying for energy, why don't we get free energy from the sun and from the wind? Those are the capital investments that we should be making. So anyhow, think again. With this rate increase, where do you want these people on fixed income to come up with the money? Do you want them to eat less? Do you want them to go to the doctors fewer times? Do you want them to see their kids fewer times a year? Exactly where is it you expect them to pick this dollar amount up? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And next on the list is Melody Riley. Melody Riley, like 2nd Street in Ashland. Melody Riley. Okay, I'll come back and see if, that person wants to speak again at the end. Aaron Prince.
My name's Aaron Prince. I'm a candidate for Boyd County Board of Education. I'll try to keep this short, sweet, to the point. There's a lot of people that's made very good points.
If you want to wait a minute till this train gets by, we will pause your time. That wasn't real fair.
Thanks for running for school committee.
They're not blowing the horn anymore. But.
Okay. Well, those, let's just be realistic for a minute. They're asking for 14.9%, basically 15 for residential, 13 for commercial, 15 for industrial. Just like anything else, you're going to ask for more than what you really want most of the time. If you're trying to sell a car, you're going to ask for more than what you want, and hopefully that when they bargain with you, you'll make somewhere in the middle. So if that's the case, they're probably looking for half of what they're asking for, which is still way too much. In the last 5 years, they've had an increase 3 out of the 5 years. Now we're on the 6th year, looking at another increase. If they hadn't had an increase in the last 5, then yeah, okay, I could see asking for a little bit of money, but not 15%. Maybe about 3. Well, yes, but it's not just us that's suffering with this. You got to look at the bigger picture. There's small businesses around here that's struggling as it is to try to make ends meet. You've got the school that paid almost $1.2 million in an electric bill last year, from January to December. So the Boyd County school system has already had to cut funding from other projects and activities due to mismanagement of funds over the last couple of years. So we don't need more burden on the school, because guess where that money is going to come from? That's going to come from us as taxpayers. Now, I don't know what the county government pays on taxes or pays on utility costs in a year, but I would assume it's probably just as much, if not more, as what the school does. Well, guess what happens? If their bills increase, they got to come up with the money somewhere. It's either cut funding from other projects, paving or whatever, or we increase taxes, which comes back on us. So it's not just the 15% that they're asking for out of us. It's going to trickle down from other areas. So in the end, we're going to be paying more than 15%, or whatever you all would agree to, which I hope is 0 in the end. Obviously, AEP is in the business to make money, but we have 2 landfills within like a 10-minute drive from here that if we're not, we should be using methane gas to offset some of this electric cost. I mean, why are we not using the resource that's right at our back door? Everybody produces garbage, which produces methane gas, which can be turned into energy and offset some of the cost for these people. So, in conclusion, basically, just to give you an example, if you increase I assume that the school is considered commercial, a 13% increase on them would increase a bill for $152,000 for the year. Well, right now that is about a month and a half more of electric that they would have to come up with. So I don't think we need to transfer the burden of more electric for the school system, county government, adding that on to the taxpayers of this county. Thank you.
I have another difficult pronunciation here. Or maybe it's just handwriting like mine. Mike Worley? Worley? Okay, I did all right. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Come on up.
Commissioners, thank you for your time. My name is Mike Worley. I'm a veteran of Iraq, a small business owner, and a resident of Russell. Bottom line up front, there's no financial justification for rate increase. None. Currently, Kentucky Power is more than a fair rate of return and is bordering on corporate profiteering. Power plants around here are powered by coal or natural gas. The levelized cost of energy, or ELCO, is the measure of how much it costs to produce electricity by a particular power source. The ELCO for coal averages approximately 10.5 cents a kilowatt. Personally, I'm charged with riders 13.5 to 14 cents a kilowatt or more. That's approximately 25% profit, which is more than healthy and fair rate of return. On top of that, power plants are also powered by natural gas, and the ELCO for that is 4.2 to 4.9 cents a kilowatt, approximately 5 cents. Again, I pay approximately 13.5 to 14 cents a kilowatt. For natural gas that's powered, that's almost a 200% profit. You're appointed by the best governor in the United States, Andy Beshear. Hands down. I'm sure the governor would not want any greater financial burden on these great people. The Commonwealth, current rates are more than just, fair, and reasonable. Deny this increase. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next, thank you. Next is Austin Stout.
How you doing, commissioners? Honestly, I don't really want to come up here and try to preach about corporate greed or anything like that. I really don't. I want you guys to think about everybody. Think about people that you know are struggling. You personally know someone who's struggling. All three of you do. Think about how they're going to manage this. Think about what their costs are. Think about how this affects their families. Think about how this it's going to be a butterfly effect, and it's not going to be what they advertise it as, and they might benefit from 1 or 2% or 3% or 5%, but 14.9 seems like they're just trying to. They want more than what they need, and it's not really our responsibility to try to pay for every single thing. They're a company; they have operating expenses. How does some of this stuff not fall underneath that umbrella of their operating expenses? I don't know. There are way too many things to consider in this, and I know that the area that Kentucky Power services, 1 out of 4 people are below the poverty line. It's going to be tough to try to justify that to these people, and frankly, I would. If I were you guys, I would vote to deny it.
Thank you.
Stovall, I think Jeff Stovall.
Is it okay if I take this out? I'm not used to standing in the back with a bunch of people. Can I stand right here? Thank you.
My name's Jeff Stovall. I moved down here
3.5 years ago. Been coming here for 40 years. My wife and family's all from Ashland, Kentucky, and this is a place we chose to retire. And I'd make that decision 20 times over again the same way. Now, I'm going to give you some facts and truths. And I am an insider, so when you boo me, that's fine, but I think you'll be pleased with what I have to say. I worked for a utilities company for 37 years. I've seen the good, bad, and ugly, regulated like it is here, unregulated in the same state. I've seen regulated companies that unregulated and then they want to go back to regulated. And if you don't know, energy right now it's everything. Energy is everything. And these companies, some of these companies are getting it right, because when you talk about utilities, you're not talking really about the electricity and the water. You're talking about the people. And some utilities truly care about the people. And I'm not talking about a Toys for Tots thing going on. They just wipe that off. That's nothing. When you talk about a utility or a company investing in the community, now they're asking for 14.9%. Rhetorical comment, question. I would like to know, or maybe you all would ask the question, 14.9. So what were they asking before they got down to the 14.9 after they went through and cut bonuses from AEP and Kentucky Power by 50%? So were they asking 16.7? And so they
18.8. They settled for 556.
Okay, so they did cut the bonuses.
They cut, no, but.
Oh, okay. Now my question is, what did they get down? How did they get down to 14.9? So if they didn't cut bonuses, rhetorical question, would it have been 17? Would it have been 20? The other question I have is O&M. It's operating maintenance costs. Capital's over here. You have to put capital in your system or it'll fall to the ground. And then you'll be out of business. And you should be. But O&M, 80% of your costs to generate electricity is two things. People, which we refer to as headcount, and fuel. I don't care what kind of fuel it is. That's what costs to drive your electricity. So again, back to the 14.9% increase. I'd like to know what Mother AEP, and they are the same. Kentucky Power, AEP, they're the same. There's legalities, but don't be confused. AEP is the mother. I'd like to know how many headcounts for non-working people that didn't operate the plants, linemen that don't climb the poles, non-working people, how many headcounts did they reduce and squeeze down to get us down to 14.9%? What was the result of that cost by doing headcounts? I said fuel and headcounts is what your electricity costs you. So what was their headcount reduction and how much did they save to get us down to 14.9? Well, guess what? Headcounts cost money. Now, you got to have linemen. You got to have people operate the plants. That's the fact. The second or the third item is how many consultants and experts did they bring in to do process diagramming of all their processes and create the waste and the cut and take that money and save it. So to get us down to 14.9. Where did they start? At 25? After they did all these cost-cutting measures? I'd like to know what that money was. Because I don't think they did any of it. And I'll tell you from my own experience, I worked at 2 power plants, and we saved them because our costs were too high. And we took the employees, and we got together, and we figured out how to get our costs down. Not only did we save those jobs for the working people, the operators, the mechanics, the good paying jobs, the utility pays taxes in those counties and those areas. But go back to Big Sandy, right? Perfectly good operating power plant. AEP took the gamble because they saw what was going on with gas prices. They were down to less than 2 cents a third. They just said, well, we're going to get rid of the coal. Well, that's a business decision. They made that decision. Why are we paying for that?
That's accountability. So I would say if they did all the cost-cutting measures, brought in the experts, looked for the process issues, cleaned up the waste, reduced the bonuses, and then what about dividends? What did AEP do this year on dividends? Anybody know? Did they drop the dividend? No. Guess what? I work for a company that cut the dividend to zero to save. So where I'm getting at is this 14.9 could be easily, and I've heard many people say no increase, and I concur with that. But you could get it down to 3.9 real easy, but they're not doing it. They want to take your money, our money, and still make what they make and have all the luxuries that go with it. The last thing I'll leave you with is it's a bigger picture. Illinois was a regulated environment. I worked in the regulated environment. It went deregulated. Today, in Bloomington, Illinois, you can choose your electric provider. Who provides your electricity to you? They're right now, they just got new rates this year, 12 cents a kilowatt. I would have never believed I would live in Kentucky and have electric rates higher than of all states, Illinois, because they don't do shit right in Illinois. Excuse the language. They don't, and you know it. It's a crook. They don't. But how are they getting 12 cents a kilowatt hour when we're going to be, I don't even know where it's going. 14.9 is going to be what, 17, 18 a kilowatt hour? So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Next is David E. Williams.
Good afternoon. My name is David Williams. I live in Ashland. I'm a citizen here for 35 years. I want to thank you for coming, taking your time to let us speak. I don't know if it's worthy of mentioning, but sometimes you find a need and a calling to do more for others. I've been elected to the Ashland School Board last year because I want to try to do best for our families. A lot of the children, somebody alluded to, was a substitute teacher, mentioned that some of our children go home on weekends with a food bag of some sort. Breaks my heart when we have a snow day and I know those children haven't been provided for. You know, we want to make certain that everybody gets treated fairly, but there's some in our community that I really want to make certain that we do look a little bit more, extend a hand. You know, I'm just going to read a few notes and I'm going to sit down. But my question, I come from an oil and gas background, but my question is, if we have a lot of these co-ops in the central part of the state that are producing kilowatt hours at such a cheaper rate, my question is, let's do an understanding of why AEP is charging at such an amount of money. I mean, I work for Ashland Oil and at the end marathon, and we had people that, we were down to the price per barrel that we were producing. So that's out there. And, you know, we ought to really, the other thing is when it comes to Eastern Kentucky, we're trying to get jobs here. We're trying to provide opportunities for our young people. And you know, when we look at these high energy costs, we're not going to attract people here. And that worries me. I wouldn't have went in and went and voted in or elected if I wasn't trying to save my community for my own children's sake. I don't want to be like everybody else and see their own children leaving town, and we sit here by myself. Although my wife would surely, hopefully, stay with me and not go with them. But I have concerns about our community. I'm going to speed up here just a little bit. Eastern Kentucky, we talked about the newer jobs. This rate hike will get passed on to so many other businesses. And so this is not just an energy rate hike. This is a hike, a tax that keeps giving and giving and giving. As a school district, our energy costs to heat and cool our schools will go up. Grocery stores will have energy costs for refrigeration and lighting. All these small businesses, all of it will be passed on to the citizens alike. And I understand economics, but you know, this gentleman here, he seems like he really had a lot of great information, and kudos to him to be able to get some kind of behind the scenes, and I appreciate that. But let's not forget that AI, the power needs from the grid that AEP plants supply, will always continue to increase in the future. It's a big concern of mine for potential job issues down the road, and future rate hikes are likely and my question is, you know, we need to equalize all Kentucky citizens as possible. If there's co-ops in central Kentucky that are producing power less, you know, what can we do to maybe have some options of that? Ashland payroll tax, just in closing, Ashland payroll tax is made up of many struggling families. And data from 2024 shows that there's 78% of the people who paid into Ashland payroll tax, 78% was making $40,000 or less, and 60% was making $20,000 or less. And I'm speaking for Eastern Kentucky. My heart goes out to everybody who struggles to continue to fight the good fight. And I would just hope that we would understand more about AEP's cost. In my earlier days, you know, I always thought that the power companies were a high dividend, low valued stock. People got into them because they were concerned. They weren't. You weren't buying into AEP to compete with Apple. And so when we started looking at these tax increase or these increases, I mean, this just doesn't seem right, as this gentleman was saying here. But anyway, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is Jeff Kinzer.
Thank y'all for being here this evening. My name's Jeff Kinzer. I live in Louisa, Kentucky. I'm a small business owner, have been since 1989. As people's mentioned about the Big Sandy plant being shut down, I sat in that meeting, the public service meeting. AEP sold 2 bills of goods. One was Plan A. Plan A was put scrubbers on the power plant at Louisa. It would be a 30% rate increase to the people. Plan B was shut the power plant down, buy half of the Mitchell plant, which they already own, which was amazing to me. You let somebody take money out of your right pocket and put it in their left pocket. I don't understand that, but evidently I'm not a good businessman. I'm sorry. So anyways, they decided, our state legislators at the time failed us, and I don't mean no respect because y'all are probably not there at the time, but our public service failed us because they let them go to Plan B. And guess what? The plant disappeared and we got with the riders and all the other stuff, we still got a 30% rate increase. Still. Then since then, how many more rates? I know last year it's a 10%. So guess what? I ain't much at math. 30 and 10 is 40. So we're really climbing here, people. You know, the rate increase they're asking for, I heard or read somewhere, is based on loss of customers and usage. Not once have I read or heard, are they downsizing their workforce, making any reductions in the cost of their services, cutting the pay of their executives,
Yes, sir.
or the amount of dividends that they pay to their stockholders. I would love to be in a business that I could wastefully spend money knowing that I could go to my customers and say, you know what, I wasted money last month, I'm going to raise your all's price again. And that's what we got.
What's going on?
To give you an example of this, I had friends that worked at that plant. When they tore the plant down, they refurbed Unit 1 to burn gas. That's fine. They spent $1 million putting machine shop equipment in that plant. They don't even have a machinist. That same equipment is sitting there today, never been used, for $1 million. Now, it gets better. Their sign was not good enough. So they spent $80,000 on a nice LED sign for their power plant. Then it keeps getting even better. They had a chain link fence, gate, electric controlled, open, closed, probably been there since 70s, 80s, but it functioned. That was not good enough. We had to get one of them new fancy $100,000 gates and put in. You know, if this is going on at one location, what's going on in their whole entire system? I feel there is plenty of waste in their company that they don't need to keep coming back to the ratepayers. They have changed the tariffs on businesses. I used to pay, I had a cut one place I still got. If I did not use no electricity, I paid $300 a month. Their new tariff, and they told me this. I got so mad, the guy probably better be glad he was on the phone. AEP said, oh, we changed your tariff to save you money. Well, they did to a point. If I use zero electricity, it's $80 a month. Now, used to, the same plant that I run 30 days, power bill may run $500 to $800 for a whole month. With this new tariff, if I run it 3 days, it's $500. Boy, they're saving me money. Here again, I like to have their accountants because evidently I'm doing something wrong. But if they keep this up, and I was born and raised in Pike County, Kentucky, and I'm old enough, as a kid, I seen no electricity, people living with one light bulb. If they keep doing what they're doing in eastern Kentucky, they're shoving us back into the 50s and the 60s. No doubt in my mind. You're seeing it already with people having to make a decision, the elderly, that's going to either decide to pay their power bill or they're going to buy groceries. By chance, I'm a firefighter. I've seen people, one light bulb in their house. So, it's out there. You know, it is out there. If you all want to help the people of Kentucky, you need to vote this down. And for the people here, we need to contact our legislators. We need to deregulate power in Kentucky. And don't let them tell you that if you deregulate, you're not going to get the service. You're not, guess what? Ohio deregulated, AEP run for the hills. Why did they do that? Because they got a cash cow in Kentucky. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
So, I beg of you all, please consider, I do thank you for your time, but the people of this area, if AEP keeps doing what they're doing, and I can already see it as a business owner. Businesses are driving past Eastern Kentucky, and it's because of power rates. I'm also a city water commissioner of Louisa, Kentucky. By chance our mayor was in, I knew he was going to be. He's absolutely correct. If they put a rate pay on the water companies, we have no choice, and that's going to be passed to the same ratepayers that's already paying electric bill. I feel that when you do this, and the legislators I'm sure has got to do this, but rates are not be allowed to be raised on public utilities, schools, or churches. That is the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tina Bowling. Tina Bowling. From Flatwoods. Tina Bowling. All right, Mark Merritt.
Thank you all for coming. I've heard a lot of good comments tonight, and when this came up, I pulled my files from the last rate, and I find it striking. Hell, they're almost the same.
Yeah.
We want a rate increase because we're losing customers. Well, you know, it's kind of interesting. If you keep raising rates, people can't pay, they have to leave. What happens to the ones that are left? Are they in here for 30%? Because they have to have it? An interesting point. I heard a lot of people talk about the Big Sandy plan. I was in the coal business for 35 years. And part of that was I was over sales of company to the Big Sandy plan. And I met with AEP a lot. And AEP told me that the Big Sandy plant was the #2 dispatch plant in the whole system. Second lowest cost. And yet they made that decision. Drawing back on your analogy about going down to testify for the DUI, I kind of take that to like drugs. Just say no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And next is Angela
Rakes.
Rakes. Yes, thank you.
That's me. Hello, my name is Angela Rakes. It's right at my Bible. I am a little bit mighty person. Thank you for that. Full disclosure, I used to work for AEP, and this is an unacceptable rate increase. They just had a rate increase in 2004 where they asked for 18.8% raise, and it ended up, your commission, thank you very much, set the rate at, what was that, 566%. Well, then a few months later, they asked for a securitized rider, and that was 6-point-something%, so 12% total. The ones that we are fully aware of, that they got in 2004. Now they're back 2005. Our economy is crap. We have a large proportion of people that are on disability, senior citizens. I myself have a brain tumor that I take medication for and will for the rest of my life. So yes, I draw disability because I can no longer work. I make, full disclosure, $1,184 a month Social Security. And do you know why I make that amount? Because I struggled my whole adult life trying to work and raise children with not one, not two, not three, 4 brain tumors at the base of my brain. Now to look at me, I look fine. This is a burden. AEP is not a soft, fuzzy milk and cookies company. They are for profit, clearly. They are not nonprofit. They also have a company yacht that the chairman and the upper echelon uses at free. I'm not certain of anyone here, but I don't have access to a yacht. I have access to my $1,184 a month. Last month, my electric bill, I just paid it. I pay all my bills right when they're due. It was $98 for electric. My home is heated with gas. My gas bill was $348. This time last year, my AEP bill was $48. Same electric usage. Again, my water heater is gas, my furnace is gas. All I use electric for is lights, appliances, and TV, of course. So my electric bill has already increased by almost $50. It was $98 this past month. So if those of you are real up with mathing, $300, almost $400 gas bill, $100 electric bill for just lights. And then water was $50-some. My main concern is, when is enough enough? When are citizens flat enough? We are flat out tired. I am tired of trying to manage finances with everything going up willy-nilly. I am tired of being told one thing and then something else gets passed. Like I said, a couple of months into 2024, there was a 6.75 increase added to make them a total of 12%. So good work, guys. But again, they're not milk and cookies. We're talking about a corporation that had to be legislated not to turn off elderly people's power when the temperature goes below 13 degrees freezing. They had to be legislated to do that because they had an elderly woman in Ohio that froze to death. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Christy Bell.
Oh, and they fired me because of attendance. I was having radiation treatments, 20 of it, 8 of them to my head for a brain tumor, and I was having brain tumor symptoms. So yes, I missed work, and yes, the AEP fired me because it's a right to work state.
Hi, I'm Christy Dodd. I live here in Ashland. Good to see everybody. Moved here about 7 years ago from Northern Virginia. I actually work for the federal government. I work for Homeland Security for almost 8 years. Different administration back then, different world. Here's the thing. I had the choice in my electric company. I had a choice. I had a choice on who I got to have provide my electricity. That's a big deal. It was a really big deal. So at the end of the day, I didn't get price gouged. And I'm not saying that All the information you guys have been given is good, bad, and ugly. I'm saying that there are other options. There are other options, okay? And I think that a lot of times we only focus on what we know, right? What's currently on the table, right? There are other options. Cooperatives are an option, okay? And they have been proven to work time and time again. The reason that the deal fell through when they tried to sell, remember that in 2023? Was because of the rate hike. The anticipated electricity rate hike that would happen. The federal government said, we don't think that we want the people in this distressed community to absorb that. So it was pulled off the table. And since that happened, I apologize for that, I think I hit it.
So we can hear.
Okay, anyway, since that rate hike was literally pulled off the table by the federal government in 2023, what has happened is AEP has come back to the table to the local commission, and it's continued to happen anyway. The rate hike that the federal government would have been involved with because of the sell fell through, right? 2-year sell, that stopped. I'm sorry. They stopped it, that's right. They stopped the sell. It fell through, they stopped the sell. And I apologize to AEP, they really wanted that to happen. It is what it is. At that very moment, cooperatives could have been an option, but it's something new. And I understand since I've lived here that new is scary. It is very scary in this community to have something different. Change is very, very scary. Things that we don't know, right? It doesn't have to be. It just doesn't have to be. So I think that the commission needs to actually bring some other people to the table, right? Talk to some other cooperatives, bring people in, and put this on the side. I mean, I understand that this is a hearing and there's things and all of these options are still available on the side. And I think you have all of these wonderful people in the community that are saying, this is really going to affect their entire livelihoods, their lives, their ability to actually be productive, right? And we need to actually care enough about our community, because I live here now too, right? And we need to actually care enough about our community and our future, our actual future, to look at options outside of continuing to overwhelm the very populace with rate hikes. The other thing that I have to say, since I have moved here, is that the general population here truly, truly cares. They do. And if they're given the opportunity to put their hands in the pot to actually invest, and co-ops do involve an investment. They do. We will invest into our community. I will invest in my community. I can. I will invest. There are people within our community who do it every day that invest our time, our money, and our energy into our community. So if we're given the opportunity, we will. You just have to give us the opportunity. Unfortunately, this is the only opportunity we're given. Our situations like this, where our voices get heard, but sometimes we feel as if that's all that happens. We get heard, maybe seen for a moment, but then ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Bryn Martin.
Bringing it up from the back. Thank you. You all have been so patient. You've been here all evening, and I thank you for doing that. I don't know if you get paid or is this part of your salary or some of you are doing some volunteer work, but I thank you. I thank all of you for coming here, because sometimes when they have these, you don't have this room as full. Isn't that right, Suzanne and Paula? And sometimes it's because it's further away. And I'm glad you took advantage of that because we need to speak up. Our voices, isn't that right? Our voices matter. And the people that we care about in our communities, in our homes, they matter. Now, some of us might not have to worry about our utilities getting shut off. But has anyone in here ever had to experience that? Not shut off, not just shut off, but just didn't have it because your heater broke or whatever. You know, you had to wait for someone to come out and fix it, right? I know I'm not the only one. Okay, some people are embarrassed to even say that. So imagine what people are going through when they've worked most of their lives and they have to struggle just to get heat and don't want anyone to know it because they feel ashamed. Now, they are not the ones that should be ashamed. The utility company that is making millions of dollars off of their back should be ashamed. Now, we are here to let you know that we are not settling for that. It's not just my home. It's my neighbor's home. It's that elderly person who has to walk around. I think I look kind of cute today, but I'm warm. And a lot of people don't know what that feels like, especially in their own homes. Because we had to get our utility fixed or our heater repaired or whatever, I had to put on a coat, right? I had a big blanket around the house. That's no way to have to walk around because then sometimes what do? You have these space heaters. So when you're walking around with all this extra fabric dangling, you have a better chance of what? Catching fire. So a lot of people and elderly people are dying not only from the cold, but our families, our children are dying in fires. Why? Because some rich person who doesn't have to sit in our cold houses, right? Where do they go in the winter? Some of them are off in Florida. Some of them are off to other vacationing. They probably don't even sit down long enough to think about what some of your friends and your parents and your community who's paying taxes are going through. And we need people who care about them. And I'm so glad that we're here to speak up, but we should not have to do this every year or be threatened to have, because we need our utilities. It's not like you should say, well, Brenda, you can just cut down on that fake fur you wear. Okay? You can't cut down on your utilities. You can try to be a little smarter. But some people, if they're living in an apartment, they don't have as much say about what some of the neighbors are doing that could be running up their utilities. Or what the landlord is doing to keep that heat in the windows. Right? When I was in college, I did my first summer job. It was to do heat loss studies. And I didn't realize how much heat get lost. And a lot of people can't afford to keep from losing that heat. So we need more incentives. And I'm going for people to save and cut back and to wear those extra sweaters around the house, but not make it so dangerous that they need all this extra just to be warm in their house and expose everybody to possible fires or tripping, right? Or tripping over the extra blankets, all of this extra rugs because the floors are cold, you know. We need to make it safer for them. So I ask you, and I'm asking you something bold, okay? I'm not just here to ask you not to raise the rates. And I don't know if you legally have the right to do this, or I make an appeal to AEP to do this on their own. But I ask most bodaciously that they reduce, not just the amount they want to raise, but they reduce the amount we're paying now. It's like you said, you already went up 40%. And there need to be some penalties for them constantly coming back while they're paying CEOs millions of dollars, asking people to constantly pay more. We have enough to do to try to survive. Keeping up with the new bills. Then we got to run a Frankfurt for this. We got to run our county clerk fiscal meeting for this. People are tired and they are getting sick and tired and some are dying. Just so a few more people can get richer. So we ask you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Ronnie Justice. Ronnie Justice. Okay, I see.
Hello? My name is Ronnie Yard Justice. I live in Phillips, Kentucky. And the reason I came down here this evening, I want to mention about, let's start with AEP. They own Kentucky Power. And I found on the internet they also own 6 or 7 other power companies throughout our area in the southeast. And I also found out that it seems pretty much on a regular basis that each one of them in their own area continually ask for increases. And then a few days ago, I just looked up the AEP stock, just wondering what its value, whatever. And then I found out that AEP pays dividends to their shareholders 4 times a year. And then for 2025, the total was $3.74, I think. But what that amounts to for 2025, 4 payments total, $2.1 billion AEP paid out to their shareholders. And everybody asked, what they say was that it's with the B. Well, you can only spell billion with the B. I also found out, well, I've got listed here the last 10 years, the amount that I found that AEP give to their shareholders. 2024, 1.9 billion. 23, 1.76 billion. 22, 1.63 billion. 2021, 1.5 billion. 2020, 1.4 billion. 2019, 1.34 billion. 2018, 1.25 billion. 2017, 1.2 billion. And 2016, 1.1 billion. And then I added those up. The last 5 years, they give out $8.89 billion to their shareholders. And then the total for the last 10 years is $15.18 billion that American Electric Power handed back over to their shareholders for the privilege of holding their stock. I'd like to have a couple million myself. And then today I looked around and found the top 2 shareholders for 2025 got a total of $364,864,601. That's 2 groups of people. And then also, I hear this evening a few people have mentioned about the Big Sandy plant being closed and dismantled, and also it was the newest plant. And it just hit me that probably they closed it first because they knew they could close the older ones anytime they wanted to. And I remember hearing people mention about when the coal industry more or less went down around COVID. People talk about the AEP was buying the cheap gas, as everyone called it. And I think if they were part of the reason driving the coal industry out of eastern Kentucky. because of the cheap gas as they come. And then again, I've seen that the CEOs get like $20 or $30 million a year for being a CEO. I think there should be some regulations on stuff like that. People calling the shots as to the amount of income they can earn or be given, whatever you want to call it. And then on this increase, I heard it's around 15%. Some people say 14.9%. But instead of giving them the increase they asked, I think you at least should cut them with that same amount for the amount of money they wasted. That's all I got.
Thank you. And the next is Benjamin Hurley.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Hurley. I am the candidate for Kentucky's 5th Congressional District. I'm here to oppose the rate increase for Kentucky Power. Kentucky Power's 2024 fact sheet states that residential customers pay an average base rate of 14.0 cents per kilowatt hour, excluding taxes. That figure has not come from interveners or third parties. It is Kentucky Power's own published number. Yet, in a subsequent written email between me and Amy J. Elliott, the company attempts to recharacterize that figure by arguing that it reflects a realized rate rather than a base rate, and suggests comparisons are not apples to apples. The problem with that is the fact sheet itself explicitly labels the figure as average base rate cents per kilowatt hour. This inconsistency matters because transparency and accuracy are foundational to cost of service rate making, and shifting definitions after the fact undermines confidence in the Kentucky's justification. Kentucky Power also acknowledges in the same email that fuel costs have declined since 2022, but dismisses that fact by stating fuel is only one component of total costs. However, the record in this case shows that commission staff are still actively probing payroll, executive compensation, depreciation, return on equity, customer charges, and affiliate allocations precisely because the company has not demonstrated with evidence that rising costs outweigh declining fuel and purchase power expenses. If declining fuel costs do not translate to customer relief, the company bears the burden of providing why a permanent base rate increase is necessary. That showing has not been made. The company's own audited financial statements further weaken the claim by necessity over the last several years, including periods of declining sales and economic disruption. Kentucky Power has continued to report positive operating income and net income. For example, approximately $63.1 million in 2018, $46.7 million in 2019, $36.9 million in 2020, and $41.2 million in 2021. These are not the financials of a utility unable to provide safe and reliable services absent of a double-digit base rate increase. Importantly, affiliate exposure did not end when the power agreement expired. Kentucky Power continues to incur significant affiliate-related costs through AEP transmission arrangements, service company charges, and shared administrative allocations, including tens of millions of dollars in transmission-related charges in recent years. These costs flow directly into customer rates and remain subject to prudence review, minimalizing affiliate exposure and narrative explanations while those costs remain under active investigation, raising legitimate ethical concerns about risk shifting and accountability. Kentucky Power also argues that declining customer counts creates upwards pressure on rates. While that may be mathematically true, it is not by itself a justification for shifting system risks onto remaining customers, particularly through higher fixed charges that customers cannot avoid. Commission staff and interveners are actively questioning whether the proposed rate design weakens the link between usage and bills and accelerates further customer loss, raising rates because customers are leaving risk, creating a self-reinforcing decline, not a solution. Finally, the company points to assistance programs such as HARP, THAW, FlexPay, and weatherization as mitigation. Yet the company acknowledges in writing that charitable contributions are not included in rates. that FlexPay is a payment mechanism rather than bill relief, and that these programs are predate this rate case. They are not funded by the requested base rate increase, and therefore do not justify it. Commissioners, based on Kentucky Power's own fact sheet, own audited financial statements, and own written explanations, the company has not demonstrated that this rate increase is necessary, proportionate, or ethically justified. The record shows recent material affiliate power purchases, ongoing affiliate cost exposure, declining fuel costs without customer relief, and internal inconsistencies in how affordability is addressed. I respectfully urge the Commission to deny these requests and increase the required and more complete and transparent showing before imposing additional burdens on Eastern Kentucky customers. Thank you for your time and consideration. The one last thing I want to say to anyone here is that if you are a candidate, legislator, or a field rep, this isn't a partisan issue. This is an Eastern Kentucky issue. Do not come here talking about Obama or Trump and shifting the blame. We need to address these issues based on the utility, not on to the administrations. Thank you.
Okay, that was the last one that I have listed as a yes. I will go back through and call on the maybes, or if you'd like, since there's not that many people left, I could just let you come up. I see someone eager to come up. Come on up, and then if whoever wants to go next can go right behind him.
Thank you all. I'm Larry Hamlin. I live in Cannonsburg, Kentucky. What I keep hearing about all this money sounds like they need management. They need management that's used to a competitive environment, not a regulated utility. Because I've spent 18 years of my life with that regulated utility. I worked through engineering design, marketing, and line superintendent. Continually got promotions. Worked really hard. And then I got to noticing there was a young lady talking about waste. She's 100% correct. This area, they need to have a site committee, somebody to oversee their management. There's none. I wrote work orders, $30,000. Nobody ever looked at it. They put them in. Were they right? Maybe. Guys got promoted from linemen to managers. They have no financial backgrounds. They just got a job. That really needs to look at. You can't continue to ask for increases so you can make your bonuses. That's just not right. Once I left AEP, I went to competitive environments with chemical companies. Completely different management, leadership. The leadership was there. AEP, just get off the property, get out there, go do something. If it's right or if it's wrong, don't be on the dock. Guys, don't let them do that to us, please. Tell them no. Tell them that we're asking for new management.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much.
My name is Sarah Scott. I live in Calixburg, but not in the city. I live out in the county part. It's a big deal if you're not from around here. I live in a little holler. Some history of the area that I'm from. A lot of land out there, a lot of elder generations that have died off, and the families had sold off the properties and built these, at the time, $100,000 houses. Now they're worth probably millions. But there I am, still in the middle of this little holler, with all these mansions around me. Not really mansions, but that's what I call them. Years ago, a little story, I was a young mother, me and my husband, young children, and we lived in this trailer, same area, same spot. And poor, our dryer went out. We didn't have money. We don't have family or someone to give us a dryer. We couldn't work any more jobs to afford a dryer. So I did what people do out here. I hung my clothes outside. Loved it. Loved it so much, I saved money on my utility bill. And I was like, eventually we'll get a dryer.
I started hanging my clothes outside in the winter. Tell me, have you all ever had to hang your clothes and freeze dry them, heat them up on a kerosene heater? I had, and I'm young. I'm still considered young. I'm 40. Well, I'm in my 40s, 41. And so here I am in my 20s because I have to survive and provide for my kids and wash our clothes. I'm freeze drying my clothes outside in the yard, and just for us to have clean clothes. I've already had to do that. Well, my electric bill went down. Well, guess what? I got a bill and it was so high. I called them and I said, why? I can't even afford this electric bill. Why did it go up? I don't have a dryer. And the lady laughed at me. She laughed at how poor I was and said, you're lying. And I said, honey, I'm telling you, I'm not. They sent someone out to investigate because she said, all my other neighbors that live in these nice homes, they're paying $400, $500, $600. You're paying like $150. How does that make sense? I said, you come out here and check. And she did. I heard the man outside from my porch hollering at someone saying she's not lying. She does not have a dishwasher. She does not have a dryer. They have a refrigerator, they have a stove, and they have a washer, a hot water tank. Tell me why. Like, the guy was so upset about it. He signed me up for that program where they came in and put some insulation in. I was very thankful for that. So grateful that that was an opportunity that other poor people might have to get insulation into their homes to keep them and their families warm. Now, move forward some years, my electric bill, knock on wood, has been staying down. It could be better. If I do another the rate increase, what am I going to have to let go of? Am I going to have to take my dryer back out of my house? Am I going to have to start? I am not ashamed to say that I've had to do that, and I'm willing to do it again. But I'm going to be getting older. What are my neighbors who are older than me? What are they going to do? How are they going to go out and hang their clothes on the line or not have a hot water tank? And like some people, and one gentleman that was here said that he's seen people living in rooms with one light and all these things that people said like before my time, that's already happening. Some other lady said that people are ashamed to stand up here and bring up these concerns and the things that they are ashamed because there's people living worse than me. I don't have no problem. You know how some generations laugh at their parents because they've been through the wars, they've been through this and that, and they keep every screw, every nail, every piece of board that might just fit. I'm turning into that person because I've lived a poor life that I have to prepare myself if it happens again. My kids make fun of me because I keep a trunk of just blankets. Those blankets I use to hang up on the doors. I use those blankets to hang up on the windows. And it's not that I need to insulate my house better. It's not that I need to, just more better things that can keep my power low. No. These increases that AEP keeps asking for is where if I didn't have to do all those, maybe I can afford to change my home a little bit and add something new that would help decrease some of these things. But no, their rate increases are constantly taking money from families who need to use it somewhere else and not in their pockets. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, panel. My name is Katie Nelfer. I am a resident of Ashland, local attorney here. And I just have a few comments. I appreciate your all's time. We're about, you're going to be here long after I am because there's still a lot of people that like to speak to you and I have to get my children. But I wanted to step up and I just wanted to make a blanket comment and then I just have one question. I think it's been blatantly obvious tonight that there's a reason that none of the executives or the representatives of Kentucky Power, other than general counsel, decided to stand up and identify themselves. It might have been a loud bunch, but it wasn't a security issue. There's a level of manipulation and taking advantage of the people of Eastern Kentucky that they're not willing to own up to.
Amen.
So, there's a gentleman here earlier that asked about your all's qualifications. I don't know. I listen to procedures. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you questions. So I did a quick Google search, and I found that one of you is a former representative and lawyer. One of you is a former executive in telecommunications, and then Mr. Wood is a legal professional. I assume that means lawyer, but your bio was very small. So I mean no insult by that, but that's what it gave me. So we've got experience and we've got intelligence on the panel. You've already heard about the people struggling. You've heard about the vulnerable children, those on fixed income, seniors on Social Security. You've been given the numerous examples, but I need you to understand that that is the norm and not the exception. So, I myself am not a numbers guru, okay? Don't ask me to do simple math. It's not one of my strong points, but it's already been established that there already exists a significant profit margin for Kentucky Power already. So my only question to you is that I looked up fair, just, and reasonable for Kentucky Power, meaning that that is the standard that you three are to apply. Fair, just, and reasonable out of the statute. And I was given a lot of information my short little time over there reading while so many other people were talking. And one of the things that stuck out, it says that fair, just, and reasonable means that for Kentucky Power Company, that rate increase acts as a legal guarantee of financial viability. So my one question is to you and to Kentucky Power, at what percentage of profit at the expense of Appalachia does Kentucky Power need to hit for you as judge and jury to determine that they are financially viable?
Amen.
Amen.
They've already established the millions and the billions with the B that the parent corp has. So that's my question to you, because you will be the determiner of that. Is it a 6% profit margin? Is it 8? Is it 10? And at each percentage, each tenth of a percentage, you're breaking the backs of the Appalachian people.
Amen. Right.
So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, members of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. Thank you for coming to Ashland, Kentucky. My name is DJ Reiner, and I'm an Ashland City Commissioner and Mayor Pro Tem for our wonderful city. As a City Commissioner for the City of Ashland, it's my responsibility to stand up and speak out against issues that I believe will cause negative impact to all of our Ashland residents. I rise in opposition to this significant proposed rate increase by Kentucky Power. While the company cites rising operational costs and infrastructure investments as justification for this, the burden this hike will place on Ashland residents and businesses is both unjust and detrimental to our community's well-being. Eastern Kentucky is home to hard-working families who already struggle to make basic needs. Increasing electricity rates will disproportionately affect those households, forcing difficult choices between paying utility bills and other essentials like buying food, buying medicine, maybe education for themselves and for their children. For many, this increase could push them further into financial instability and into hardships. You know, I bought my house 4 years ago, and I'm not told many people this, but I never lived anywhere else besides with my parents. And when I purchased my home, you know, it was a big step for me. It was a big expense, and it was an all-electric home. And you know, coming from a middle-class family, I worked a low-income job, $7.25 an hour, and I remember my first winter there was one of the coldest winters we had here in a long time. And I remember talking to Cole, my neighbor, frantically saying, "Hey, Greg, you have blankets? I need blankets to put over my windows, my doors, to keep the cold air in." And that's I see that when I see these people coming up here, folks coming up and asking for rate increases. What about all the people that's here tonight? The people that spoke that actually struggled. Those are the people that need the blankets, that need the help, that don't need the burden of additional rate increase. Beyond individuals, the proposed rate hike threatens economic development for our region. Our region is primed and it's ready for economic development and growth. Higher utility costs make Kentucky less attractive to new businesses and investors, stifling job creation and economic development and growth. Small business owners who operate on thin margins will face increased expenses that could lead to reduced hours, layoffs, or even closures. One individual was here earlier since left. He said he pays $1,000 a month for his thrift store electric bill. He said this increase is going to be very tough for him and his business to handle. Let me make this clear. Electricity is not a luxury, but a necessity. The Public Service Commission, you guys, have a responsibility to protect customers from excessive financial burdens, especially those the least able of us can absorb. Approving this rate increase at a time when many are still recovering from economic challenges would be a step backwards for Kentucky families, for Eastern Kentucky families, for Boyd County residents, and for my citizenry here in Ashland, Kentucky. I urge the Commission to carefully consider the real-world impacts of this proposal and prioritize affordable, fair utility rates that support both residents and economic vitality. Alternative solutions such as cost efficiencies or phased adjustments should be explored to avoid placing undue strain on our communities. Thanks for hearing us out today. Thanks for coming to Ashland. And hopefully you gentlemen and ladies can make the best decision for our citizens here in Ashland.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Becky Jenkins. I live in Flatwoods. I'm a very simple person. I'm not simple-minded, just simple. My electric bill was $245.57. It went to $444.15. This month it is $568.83. When you draw $1,200 a month, I get a check. My husband gets Social Security. When you draw $1,200 a month and your electric bill is $568, that presents a problem. Just letting you know.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pam Lewis. I thank you for your time. In Eastern Kentucky, it's no secret the wages have not kept pace with rising costs. A rate hike doesn't exist in isolation. It stacks on to everything else, as you've heard. Kentucky families are resilient. That's what I love about us. But resilience should not be mistaken for limitless capacity to absorb hardship. Fixed income households do not get cost of living increases. Rate hikes cause shutoffs. Shutoffs cause unsafe homes. Unsafe homes harm children, seniors, people with disabilities. Also, I'd like to add, when school budgets are cut, teachers have to adapt. We don't get to give ourselves raises. We cut our staff. And I don't know about everyone else. This year I bought a Squishmallow for my students. I also bought my first carbon monoxide detector, because I have students that are living in homes that are being heated by kerosene heaters. I had a student last year that their family lost their home. Her and her 5 siblings came to me for assistance because they were trying to heat with a kerosene heater and got the blankets too close. We almost lost them because they couldn't afford the heat that was in their home. Their heat wasn't broken. They were trying to save money. My sister is a social worker. I'm really proud of that. There are actual seniors sleeping in coats that she has to keep heat as low as possible so that they can save on their electric bills. They work their whole lives and have to choose between warmth and medication. That is heartbreaking to me. How are they going to pay their executives when they have no customers left? I have friends that can't pay their bills, so they're getting cut off. Then we penalize them because they don't pay their bills and they just keep getting buried further and further. If publicly owned utilities in neighboring states can keep rates lower while maintaining reliable service, why can't Kentucky utilities do the same? Unless the difference is guaranteed profits, is the only thing I can figure. And I ask you to request an impact bill analysis, but I will ask you to request that it be specific for low income and fixed income households. And one last thing, my mom is on oxygen, and you don't know scary until you have a several hour power outage. And she gets one backup green tank, and that's it because her insurance will not pay for her. That's scary. Thank you for your time. Please make the right decision for the people of Eastern Kentucky. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is
McLean Dyer from Carter County, from Grayson. I don't really have much to say to the commission, but I have stuff to say to you all. Look around the room. Are any of your representatives here tonight? No, none of them are here. Not a single. TJ Roberts is here. Are any of your state representatives here? Yes. None of your state legislators were here tonight. None of them. They released a statement. And it says they want to blame the high prices on the Biden administration and the Obama administration. They don't want to talk about the fact that AEP has been raking in billions of profit every single year on the backs of their constituents while they go to Frankfurt and take away those regulations. They don't care. They're not here. And they're not going to come and say, you have to tell them what you want. You have to fight back.
We'll save ourselves.
So everybody who's here tonight, thank you for coming. And tell all of your friends to come to other meetings like this as well, too.
All right. Do we have anyone else who would like the opportunity to speak tonight? While someone's making their way up, I want to thank you again for having us in your beautiful city, and to definitely thank all the law enforcement, local officers who came out to make sure that everyone was safe and that no one felt threatened, and we certainly appreciate your time this evening. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm Sandy Woodward, and thank you to the members of the commission and to the chair, the former lady of the 94th. It's awfully good to have you in our city. Thank you for letting me speak today. Like any household or business, running a utility costs money. No one disputes that fact. But when a company keeps coming back year after year, asking for a large rate hike, already expecting it will be cut but still approved, that is not a necessity. That is a strategy. And strategies like that work only when someone else keeps paying the price. Kentucky Power is not in danger. The people it serves are. Here's what that looks like in plain, hard truth terms, and why people feel like they're running in place while falling behind. In 2026, Social Security gave people a 2.8% cost of living increase, but at the same time, Medicare Part B premiums increased by nearly 10% to $202.90 a month. Part B deductible increased by over 10% to $283 a year. Part A deductible increased by 3.5%. That went up to $1,736 every time they go into hospital as per benefit period, not a year. And the benefit period is 60 days. There's a lot of 60 days in a year. So the APTC help with the Affordable Care Act premiums, well, that premium, that help, it disappeared. Congress just passed tonight the extension. Hopefully that will go on and be passed by the Senate and the executive branch, but I'm not sure of it. So that help, it disappeared for working people and early retirees. But even if that help is passed, in Kentucky, insurance premiums rose by as much as 27%. People are not keeping up. They are falling behind. This isn't because people aren't working hard enough. It's because more risk and more costs keep getting shifted onto individuals, especially seniors and people with disabilities. While working families are squeezed from both sides, too well off to qualify for help and too poor to absorb another hit. We're not moving forward. We are going backward. People are already going without health insurance. And if this Kentucky Power rate hike is approved, many will also go without lights and heat. Kentucky Power is allowed an authorized return, but that is not a guarantee. It is a limit, not a promise. A rate increase is a request, not a right. This commission does not exist to make sure a company always hits its profit target. It exists to protect the public from monopoly power while allowing utilities to recover reasonable cost. Sometimes protecting the public means saying no. Out in our communities, people don't get to pass costs along. When prices go up, they absorb them. They tighten their belts until there's no more holes left to pull. That is the reality outside of this room. This commission exists to serve the public, not guarantee profits. That's not rhetoric. That's your job. It's right there in your name. Public service. If you approve even part of this increase, the message is clear. Ask big, ask often, and the people will make up the difference. But if you deny it, you draw a line and say this stops here. So today I speak for the people who can't afford to be here, but who will pay every dollar of what you decide. I ask you to deny this rate hike in full, because someone has to speak to them, for them, and today that someone is me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Spencer Wills. I've lived in Ashland my entire life. I didn't know I'd be able to make it to this meeting tonight because I was in Ironton, Ohio at a special council to protest an AI data center being built there. So I didn't really prepare anything except what I could type while I was in my seat back there listening to everyone else. I don't know a whole lot about electricity and about power and about how these rates are decided, but I do know about Appalachia and I know about Eastern Kentucky. Central Appalachia as a whole and Eastern Kentucky specifically is facing an extreme population decrease, up to nearly 50% in some counties, and especially in my age group. People grow up here and they leave to go to Lexington, to go to Louisville, to go to Cincinnati, to get a better job and to raise a family. And most of all, for a lot of people, especially in Eastern Kentucky, to escape the generational cycles of poverty that have been established within our region. I don't know how you can expect to keep people here when they cannot afford to live here. Our region has, for so long, been at the end of the wrath of big companies. It's something that's obvious by our history and by the way it impacts us today. I don't know how you can call yourselves Kentuckians or say that you serve us when you do this to your own people. How you can continue to take advantage of the people of Eastern Kentucky. We are a people known for our sense of community and for our willingness to help our neighbors. And I just do not understand how as Kentuckians or as providers for Kentuckians you can stand for something like this. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like an opportunity to speak?
There's a message in the drug war, and that is just say no. And I think that applies to this commission. Just say no.
All right. Well, I would also remind everybody you can come Tuesday at 9 a.m. to 11 Sour Boulevard, to the opening day of the rate increase case hearing that begins on Tuesday at 9 a.m. You can also continue to submit your comments online or write us a letter. And please do include the case number 2025-00257 on any correspondence so that we make sure your comment gets filed in the correct case. Again, thank you for having us. And if there's nothing further, we're adjourned.
Thank you. That's so right.
Yep. Yep. Let me get this right here. Okay. That should be fine. Okay. This middle one right here will be the one that you'll be talking about. The middle.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Paula Bowman here at the train station at the AEP. What was it?
It's the PSC.
PSC. And she's wanting to talk to everyone a little bit about what's going on here.
Oh, would you?
Sorry about that. You can start from the top.
So tonight was the PSC Commission's hearing here in Wood County concerning the Kentucky Power rate hikes. Kentucky Power has asked for a 14.5% rate hike, and the folks here that came tonight showed out to protest that rate hike. It's important that people do come to these PSC meetings because they don't know that we're concerned if we don't tell them. So call, write, show up to the meetings.
Yes, we had a full house here, didn't we?
We did have a full house.
Yes.
The last rate hike they asked for. And here's testament to why this works. The last rate hike AEP asked for in 2023, they asked for 16.99%. Enough people showed up and enough people spoke out that rate got knocked down to 5.99%.
It's a lot, but still it shouldn't have
It
happened.
shouldn't have happened. I
Right.
agree. It should not have happened.
Right.
There is a lot that is unfair about it. I will submit my entire analysis to the PSC Commission. I had a lot more to say tonight.
Yeah,
We
you-
were
5 minutes.
So I did have a lot more to say, and I will put that in writing. And
are you going to Frankfurt?
I probably won't be able to, but I will mention that the PSC comments are searchable.
Okay.
So if you go out to the site, psc.gov site, you look up the rate case number, you will be able to research and look at everything that people have said.
From the meeting here?
So there will probably be a recording of this.
No, we've got one.
But all the written comments that people have told in. So there's a lot of people who don't come to these that they actually send in a comment, and that will be that's searchable.
So all of that.
All of that will be yes.
Well, we appreciate what you do.
Well,
All
thank you.
Suzanne does. I mean, I know Suzanne's a really big advocate on this. I've been watching her on Facebook.
Suzanne and I have been doing this for a long time.
We appreciate y'all's hard work that you all stick up for us, the community of Ashland and the state of Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Well,
20 counties that are involved in this right now. So,
wow.
in Eastern Kentucky alone. So,
That's crazy.
I know, and a lot of them are, it's Eastern Kentucky. And that's some of the poorest counties in the nation.
Suzanne sat there and told me about, I forgot who it was like $13 million? Or is it a bonus, or is that their pay for
So,
13 million?
Okay, so yes, pay and bonuses are 1.5% of their pay, of the executive CEO's pay.
Wow.
The local Kentucky Power CEO, AEP, is the parent. The Kentucky Power CEO will not disclose her salary.
Okay.
So
is it probably?
Now we do know that the CEO before her made $2 million a year.
Oh wow.
That is a lot. And on top of that, all the metrics were met or whatever, and they got a 1.5% bonus.
Oh wow.
And then more qualifications allow them to have another 1.5%.
This is really for us struggling, you know.
I mean, is there anything that you can imagine that you do in your day-to-day life that's for $1.2 million just to share? Everything I know, right? I know.
It would be great.
It's like in the lottery for a lot of us, right? So, yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
I know it's been a long evening, but
yeah,
we appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody else want to call? Did you want to say something? Here?
You were basically backwards to the cameras. The cameras were over there.
Yeah,
Up there.
We'll just get you started here. And,
we just have to make it quick. We got
it right here. You just get right here. Right here is fine. Oh, okay. So you can see yourself right there.
Yep, and you
just
can
turn
go
around here.
Right.
Oh, thank you. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
And what is it?
And just any quick message for
I'm so grateful for so many people. I'm so grateful for so many people who came out to speak out about the concern we have for many of our neighbors and families who can't afford the increase. Over the recent years, there has been an increase of already 40%, while CEOs are making millions on the back of so many of our Eastern Kentuckians, and after dealing with floods and so many other tragedies in our area. So we really need to cut that back or cut it out altogether, because we need utilities and we need our seniors, we need our families. And there's so much hazard to people having open spatial heaters and walking around those with extra blankets and coats in their homes. Exactly. Yeah, after working most of their lives, and they should be able to live with some dignity. Some people are embarrassed, and they shouldn't be. You know, and don't want people to know that they're experiencing this difficulty. Right. And they shouldn't be ashamed. The people who are making millions off their backs are the ones that should be ashamed. And we need to work together in this community and keep our expenses reasonable for everybody.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you. What's your name? Tammy Grant and Michael Booth.
Okay.
We're with Tri-State. We're Tri-State Media Service.
Okay.
Actually,